This week on the Steam Machine podcast, lasagna. I mean, space. Cue the music. Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Steam Machine podcast. My name is Dalton, and joining me as always of Destructober.
Hey everybody, it's Nate.
Hey, I'm Willie. I'm kind of healthy. What's up?
Not much, my good sir. I'm glad that you're kind of healthy. I'd rather you be fully healthy, but we can get there at a further date and point. We have two guests.
What do you mean we? Are you a doctor?
Yes. They call me Dr. Feelgood. I'm here to make sure you feel all right.
Oh, you can be my Frankenstein.
Sweet. So we have two guests this week. We were going to have three, but one is a bitch. So,
you wouldn't be getting slandered if you were here to defend yourself, and that's on you.
Let me clarify. You would absolutely be getting slandered if you were here, regardless if you could defend yourself or not. But you would be here to defend yourself. Yeah, Jeremy bailed. He's a tired boy, so me and him will probably talk some Starfield on YABSPOD next week. But
hope you get your rest, man.
Joining us, let's see, who do I want to introduce first?
Save the weird one for last.
All right,
and by weird one, I mean the one
that's
recording from a very different time zone.
Oh.
Nate called you weird. You hear that? I want that on record. So, joining us is my JRPG Report co-host, and you can find him on YouTube under TeamRetrogue. Mikhailov, buddy, what's up?
And now, in addition to being your co-host, I am also your Free Company co-member.
Yeah, you came over on some Final Fantasy 14. We will touch on that in just a moment, my good sir. Keep that in your front pocket. Also joining us, man, I feel like a radio host right now. Also joining us from down under, and I hope I don't offend you every time I do that, my good friend and yours, Mr. Ariesoradam.
Crikey. No.
Hit us with the young crikey.
Only after 2 years of wanting to get on here, I'm finally on.
Yeah, welcome, my good sir. Glad to have you. Glad to have you, for sure. I know we've talked about it 100 times, but
yeah.
It's hard to line up those schedules. Is it 15-hour difference?
Yeah, well, it's my lunch break at the moment, 12:30. So.
Oh, okay. So, 14 hours. So, okay, but still, that's a long time. That's a whole half a day ahead in the future. How does it feel? What's happened? Tell us.
Well, the sun came up, so that's a start.
That's a good thing to look forward to.
And
My DraftKings owes me one.
Oh no, who let alternate universe Willie in?
Patreon jokes.
I was going to say, if you want to know that, join the Patreon. Patreon.com/Steam Machine Podcast. $1 a month.
I'm going to hit the gym, then I'm going to watch me some football.
So what have you boys been up to? I'm going to go counterclockwise from the last time I did it. So let's start with Mikhailov. What you been up to this week, man?
What have I been up to this week? I have three handhelds coming on Friday.
Damn, son.
And one of them I am very much looking forward to because it may take both the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally and knock them on their asses.
Wow.
And it's branded with my name on it in LED lights. It says Retrogue.
Sweet.
Nice.
Okay, A, that's badass. B, now you have me curious. What's the name of this thing?
It's called the 1X Fly. So
That's what I have to order my pants with.
yeah, you got to make sure you have a 1X Fly on your pants. Dalton, you just said that you're not the one who brings it up.
I know. I did that specifically because of that, yeah.
No, so other than that, I'm just doing my thing, teaching, taking care of a 3-year-old, trying to get sleep every now and again, fielding some stars.
Yeah, and like you mentioned a minute ago, we brought you over to Famfrit on Final Fantasy 14, and you joined my free company, Deep Fried Chocobo, where everyone's super chill. I just want to give them a shout out. And yeah, dude, I look forward to playing. We've been doing some PvP. It's been a good time. So
Yeah,
far.
first time I've ever done PvP. Very excited. And I'm still losing. I'm horrible at it.
Yeah, I look forward to being able to like help each other with content and stuff. Though it should be fun, like running trials, dungeons, going and beating up Ifrit and things like that.
That'll be fun. And maybe we'll get to endgame content together and we'll run raids and stuff.
Yeah, just be prepared for me to bug you to do mount runs.
I'm okay with that.
Okay, good, because I love mount runs.
I'm very much okay with that. I like mounts and I love glamour.
Beautiful. We'll get along swimmingly. Nate, what have you been up to this last week, my good sir?
Yeah, man. So big news for me is the DLC, the final DLC for Sonic Frontiers dropped, and I've been really enjoying it. Like, but the thing is like that game was not ever really difficult, right? Like this DLC is freaking hard, man. Like I was really surprised by that. Yeah.
I was like, do you think that maybe that was based on a criticism that they got, where people complaining that the game was too easy, and they were like, "Well, then we'll show you."
I think so. And then now people are complaining that the DLC is too hard. So it's like you can't make people happy. You know what I mean?
Nate, I have a solution. You gotta go fast.
That is most of the time the correct solution. Yes, but the really cool thing about this update is they added in 3 more playable characters. Amy, Knuckles, and Tails, and I'm surprised at how well they did to make all of them feel super different to play as, yet still staying in line with, the way you would expect a Sonic character to play. Like, I think they did a really good job with that, and, it just gives me a whole lot of hope for the future of the franchise.
Awesome, dude, and I love Knuckles.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what it was back in the day, like when I was a kid. Like, I liked Sonic, but I loved Knuckles.
Oh, Knuckles is cool. He's still my favorite. I mean, like, got a little plushie on my desk of him. Yeah. And then
Knuckles is the bomb.
Other than that, nice Mikhailov, the Sonic hat on.
This is for my 3-year-old's costume.
Nice. And then the other thing, y'all, I did some man stuff this week. Like my toilet finally gave up the ghost. Well,
oh no.
Yeah, so let's put it this way, like everything on the inside, it's been going out for years, and I've been doing every single thing I can to prolong the inside's life, like using a hairpin to hold these 2 pieces together, using a zip tie to hold these 2 pieces together, and it was just finally getting to the point where like, all right, I think I got another little halfway decent fix to keep it going, and like I just could not get it to work this time, and I was like,
you've had your last shit, boy.
Yeah, so I had to take the entire tank off the toilet, redo all the entire insides with the kit. Like, honestly, like putting together the toilet was not the hard part. The hard part was taking it apart because, as you know, anything that has to do with water, things get nice and corroded.
Yeah.
So
and gnarly.
And very gnarly, especially a toilet. Yeah. Very gnarly. Like, because, it's midnight, you miss a little bit, so there's pee in places that you have not cleaned in however many years. And when I took the tank off the toilet, I noticed a date on it, and I think this is probably the last time anybody serviced the toilet in the way I have. 1990.
What?
This toilet was installed in this house in 1990, so I am cleaning up 3 decades worth of whatever happened to this toilet.
That toilet's seen some shit.
Literally.
It's a crappy situation you're in.
But no.
I'd be pissed.
So, like, taking apart was the hard part because the screws were so corroded that you could not unscrew anything. Like, I literally had to go to the Lowe's, get a hacksaw, and get between the tank and the bowl and, slice off all of these screws. Like, literally, it took me like 2 hours to get it taken apart, 30 minutes to get it all put back together.
Man, I used to hate working on toilets, dude. When we would do property preservation,
yeah,
hated it. I gotta tell you about this one house we did. The toilet, it looked like somebody had like shit and piss in there for a while and then just closed the lid and left. So it was like this hardened, moldy substance just clogged this toilet, right? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say Nate. I was looking at you, and that's why I said that. But my buddy Wes made this stuff. I don't know what cleaners he put together, but he looks at me dead in the face and goes, "Do not lean over and breathe when I pour this in there." He goes, "And we're going to walk out for about an hour and then we'll come back and deal with it." Okay, so he pours it in there. Yes?
That stuff is called clobber, and it is dangerous.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. But yeah, he mixed some like shit we had together and poured it in there. And we walked out for like a while. And then we went back in there and he goes, "You want to see something ridiculous?" I said, "Sure." And he took a toilet brush and put it into the toilet and started moving it around in there and pulled it back out with no bristles.
What?
Yeah.
He goes, like, that was the power of the stuff he poured in there. It was literally acid,
Yikes.
Yeah.
basically. And
I have dealt with that stuff before. It's not to be messed with.
we ended up, getting that toilet cleaned up and everything. It took like 3 times of us doing that to get all of that corrosion and stuff on there and the build up away. Awful. So I feel for you, dude. Working on toilets is not fun.
And the worst part is there's 2 toilets in my house, and I had to do something similar to the other one like 2 years ago. So like I knew what I was in for, but like this one, getting the tank off was way worse.
Well, hopefully you're good for another 10 or so years.
Yeah, hopefully I won't be living in the house by the next time the toilet goes out.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Oh, so what about? Oh man, I opened up the messages and it moved everybody around, but I can still go counterclockwise. So next is Willie.
Yep.
What you been up to this past week, my good sir?
Wow. Just kidding. Let's see. I know that this is usually when we talk about what we've been playing and stuff, but I would like to... I don't know if we ever commentated on what's going on with the Unity licensing thing.
I don't know if we did it on this show. I think I briefly brought it up on JRPG Report, but we didn't really go into it. So please, by all means.
I don't want to get too deep into it, but basically the long and short of it is that they announced a sudden retroactive change to the terms of services that would basically let them charge for installations of any game made in their engine, including previous versions. And while they did roll back a lot of the changes, like the fact that they showed that they are willing to make those kind of wide-sweeping unilateral changes has kind of really damaged the trust in them as a company and as a platform.
And not only that, dude, in my opinion, what the most fucked up thing was about it was any installation of it. So
like demos or freemium games, like free-to-play games.
If somebody pirated your game and they found the install somehow, you would get charged for pirated copies. They were going to get charged for Game Pass, which is free. Mm-hmm. They could play the game for free. So it's like, dude.
And the installation data it's not like self-reported by the developer. That was like their own, they said they would use their own like, what's the word I'm looking for? Proprietary tools to do the count of it. So you just have to, basically they come up with a number, they say, "Trust me, wink."
Yeah.
No thanks, dude. And dude, I'm happy that they reeled back, but at the same time, like you said, it shows that they're willing to go there, but hopefully they realized that if they go there, they're toast.
I'm just really hoping that any devs that are still stuck on Unity for their next game, like, at least now they have time to get their game out and stuff before they move on to what they're going to be using going forward. Because I can't imagine many people are going to be sticking around, but I felt for the people that had kind of a sunk cost thing going on, where they're like, well, my game's half done and I can't afford to change it to Unreal or Godot or Game Maker or whatever.
That would have been the perfect time for Unreal to come out and be like, hey, we're going to charge less if you do under this amount, for the next year, we're going to take 10% less charge or whatever. And then everybody who was leaving Unity would have come right to Unreal, and that'd have been preying on a bad situation, but at the same time would have been probably made them bukus of money.
It would be sick if there were migration tools, but obviously each engine does such different things that you can't just easily, build it in one and run it in another. I understand that, but I mean, yeah, it's still just, it sucks. It was a crappy situation for everyone.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because I was really mad because I was starting to learn Unity development and because I was really happy that it naturally supported C#. But I did find out that Godot also supports C#, so, it's worth looking into. A lot of people, I know that the developer for Dusk switched over to Godot and seems to be really happy with it. So
you can also, through Epic, you can download Unreal tools and mess with Unreal as well, for any listeners that might want to dabble in that.
Yeah, and Unreal, it is a commercial engine license, but like what Unity had, there's like a sales minimum before you owe them like literally any money. So like if your game isn't making $100,000 or whatever, then you're basically doing it for free.
Yeah, I think you have to sell like 100,000 copies before they start pulling something like that, which I think is reasonable. Because if you've sold 100,000 copies, then you're making a little money. Because even if you charge $1 for your game, that's $100,000.
And that's pretty similar to what the deal was for Unity in the past. They were very comparable. It's just them adding all these extra fees all of a sudden it really hit everyone the wrong way.
I can get that.
In happier news, I finally checked out. So the Doom source port Odamex has a Horde mode now. I'd been complaining because I really loved the invasion mode that Skulltag and Zandronum had in them, but people stopped making new maps for those because no one was playing them. And they got a new Horde mode in Odamex, which is pretty similar to that, but has a little bit more randomization and stuff to it. And I checked out this pack called Hordemex, which is just like 50 maps for it, and it's really fun. Like, if I can ever figure out how to get like online Doom games working, I'd love to play that game with you guys sometime. But it's a blast. It's exactly what you imagine. It's Doom and it's Horde mode.
It sounds like fun because Quake Horde mode's fun.
I was about to say, we have a lot of fun with Quake Horde mode, so...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think this would be similar, because it's even, like, got the same rules where, like, you resurrect at the beginning of a round as long as at least one player lives through the round.
That's what's up. That's what's up. What about you, Adam? What you been up to this week?
Just a lot of work during the day, family stuff in the Arvos, and a lot of gaming at night. Ace Attorney trilogy dropped on Game Pass recently, so I'm playing through that for like the 7th time in a row. I think I've owned and played just about every iteration of that game. And I've been playing a fuck ton of fighting games, actually.
Nice.
Yeah, I've been delving into UFC and also Guilty Gear.
Nice.
What is it? XX Accent R-Core Plus? Whatever the 4th iteration of Guilty Gear 2, essentially.
Yeah. Guilty Gear is only surpassed by confusing naming conventions by Kingdom Hearts.
Correct. But
beautiful game, so beautiful.
Oh, everything Axis touches is gold in the fighting game region. Yeah.
Are they also the people that do Blaze Blue?
They are. Yep.
Okay, because I was just saying they have similar like vibes to me.
I have a bunch of games by them, I feel like.
BlazBlue, Fighter Z, all the good shit is Axis, yeah.
Wow.
Might I suggest, like, have you ever played, like, are you just like going through and just trying different fighting games and seeing what you like about them?
No, well, that one's for a show that I'm going to be guesting on. I'll do the plug now. 0 to 2 Heroes.
Okay.
I'll be on that in the next couple of weeks.
Nice.
Mikey hosts that. Yeah.
That's what's up. I'll be sure to check that out.
Shared his link in the Discord, so go and check that out under Share Your Stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have a main that you're playing in Guilty Gear?
I've just been going through, really. I really like Faust. He's weird, and yeah. I think
Weird is nice.
Yeah. Yeah, anybody that kind of has the off-the-wall jumping kind of fighting style, and he's got like a mid combo that like is unblockable, I think, so yeah. Anybody that's good to spam,
Tell me that your main in Soul Cow is Voldo without telling me that your main in Soul Cow is Voldo. He's the weirdest character in that game. Everyone used to always say he was very Manson, like Marilyn Manson-esque. Just very weird.
Does that mean you're a Yoshimitsu main in Tekken then?
Oh God.
No,
Yoshimitsu.
Law, actually.
Law. Yeah, buddy. I used to whip some ass with Law. That fucking moonsault kick thing that he does. Oh, yeah! And he does the flip and lands on him. Great. Yeah, might I recommend, I know we did an episode on it, but King of Fighters 02 Ultimate Match. Fantastic. It's a great fighting game. There's a few that I have that like interest me, like in the Injustice games. Because they play like Mortal Kombat, but they're DC characters, which I find that interesting. You can go in there and just whip some ass as Batman. You know, so I mean, that's something that interests me. I
think it's wild that series kept on rolling too, considering I thought DC versus Mortal Kombat got pretty bad reviews.
That game sucked.
And yet it seems like both series were just happily trucking on afterwards. They kept making DC fighters, they kept making Mortal Kombats, and they kept getting good.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're both like I've played some of Injustice, and like I said, it plays just like Mortal Kombat. It's really really fun. Do you know this show that you're going to be on? Do they cover all eras of fighting games, or are they like going through specifics? Or
Yeah, so the way that Mikey runs it is he grabs a co-host because it's just him running the show at the moment. You talk about a kind of game that you both don't have much experience with. And then you do the first half of the show where you talk about like your history with fighting games, etc. Then in the mid-break, we actually verse each other for 3 matches, best of 3. And then we come back and talk about the game after that. So it's a super cool premise. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's cool. Well, then might I throw a recommendation out there if you guys could set up online, or if he could, like whoever he's guesting with online through RetroArch. Towball number 1.
There it is again.
Because it's just so fun. It's so good. Even Towball number 2. Get the English translated Japanese ROM, ISO, whatever you want to call it, and just whip some ass. It's great. It's a good time. I will always plug that game. Just like if somebody mentions Nintendo, I got to bring up. Oh, you mean like Stanley in the Search for Dr. Livingston?
Idiot.
Oh man, but yeah, you can't go wrong with King of Fighters though. So that's my shout out for if he's looking for a really good fighting game. Any of the King of Fighters games, they're tremendous. So I guess that just leaves me.
Well, yeah, I think it is just you.
All right. Well, then let's run through this quick.
We don't care what you've been up to.
That's fair. Oh, Jubs.
No.
No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So, a buddy of mine named Nathaniel sent me a little package, right? So I got a copy of Fire Emblem 3 Houses again.
Oh,
which this was a fantastic
nice.
game, and I'm very, very thankful that you sent me this, because like this is a game that I regretted trading, because I had traded it in, and now I can play through it again, because when I played through it, I played through under the Blue Lions, but I still have 2 other story arcs to play through to get the full Monty, you know what I mean?
Is there a DLC now too?
There might be. There very well may be, and that's just going to cost me some money, but that's okay, because Nate sent this to me for the low price of free, and I do appreciate that.
Yeah, they did do a DLC that adds a 4th house to 3 houses.
Did they really? Oh, okay. Well, then I have 3 more storylines.
I think they live in your basement or something.
Sweet. I wish I had a basement. I used to have a friend. I know basements are a very rare thing in Florida.
I'm so happy you used to have a friend.
Thank you. Yes, Adam.
Yeah, so the 4th house Cindered Wolves, they are exactly like Willie said. They're the 30-year-olds that live in the basement.
That's fantastic.
That's awesome.
But basements are very rare in Florida, and I used to have a buddy who lived in a town that's adjacent to the one I live in, but he lived on this big farmland, but his house was up on the hilly part, so they had a basement. And I mean this literally and figuratively, it was the coolest room in the entire house. Like, it was this big concrete bunker. They had their 4 PCs for the family set up down there. There was an area with the G.I. Joes and all that stuff. There was an area for the girls and their Barbies. There was a ping pong table. There was a pool table. This basement was huge.
That's actually what I was going to say. Up here in Connecticut, people love finishing their basement and turning it into a bar room, escape from the wife and kids room.
Yeah. That's one thing I've really noticed from moving to Tennessee from Kentucky. Everybody in Kentucky had basements. No one in Tennessee has basements. And they are connected states. I do not understand what the difference is. Give me my damn basement back.
Yeah, when we were kids, man, all of our friends had finished basements that were kind of like playroom, hangout room, gamer room, or dad's pool table and bar room or whatever.
They're not here in Tennessee, and I don't get it.
I wish. It would be super cool. Like, if I could, I would buy that house from them, but Lord knows that was a lot of land. That stuff's probably his dad was a marine biologist. So when we were in Boy Scouts together, we got to see some cool stuff when his dad would take us out on these marine biology trips and take us to these marine biology labs and centers where it's where I pet my first stingray, all that kind of stuff. But also, anyway, in the package was this, which was a little Easter egg for Steam Machine lore. All right. Rule number 95, kid. Concentrate.
Aww.
That's
cute. It's a little Phil from the Disney's Hercules, which was, I feel like that was one of the first games that we played that we were all like, man, this game was fantastic. whether we liked the game or not, all of us were just like, this game's fantastic.
You know, and that was an early episode with the three of us. I feel like if that came up now, we would have rated it way differently.
Yeah, probably.
I feel like that one was a weird one, too, because I feel like we started off rough on it and then started liking it the more we played it.
Yeah,
Plus, it gave me an excuse to watch the movie for the first time in either ever or, like, decades. Either way, that was a great experience.
I forgot we did the movie, too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that is a good movie. It's one of my favorite Disney movies.
It's a hell of a lot of fun.
Hades of a lot of fun.
Hey, go fuck yourself.
My goodness. Also, so this is kind of strange. So I applied for a job, and I ended up like getting through to the next process, and I had to go take my drug test. So I asked the lady who was interviewing me. I said, "I'm gonna be straight up with you. I need to know. I have my medical marijuana card. So is that gonna?" She just cuts me off. She goes, "It's totally fine." She goes, "As long when you go to the lab, just present the card to them. They'll make a note of it, and it'll be good to go." I'm like, "Awesome." So I go to the lab. So I'm still worried about it, right? I'm still like, I'm an overthinker. I have anxiety, so I'm like anxious about it. So I go into the lab, I take my piss test, and we're sitting there afterwards, and I said, "Oh, by the way, is it you that I need to show this to?" And I pulled out my card and showed it to her. And she goes, "Oh, no, honey. They're going to call you when the lab will call you, and they will take care of it for you. So you just tell them over the phone, and you read off the..." I was like, "Oh, okay." So I still had so now I'm like, all right, well, now I have to continue to worry about this until the lab calls me about my piss test, right? So that was Friday when I went to go take that piss test. Today is Tuesday, right?
Wednesday.
No, today's Wednesday?
Yes.
All right. Then today's Wednesday. And I still hadn't gotten a call from the lab. And I'm like, all right.
Your sample ate through the beacon.
I don't know what happened. I got a text message today, though, from the lady who called me and interviewed me. And I'm going to read it verbatim.
Verbal Tom.
"Congratulations from insert job. Your background information is complete. Please keep an eye out for a call from insert name here. So coordinate your start date." Smiley face emoji. There is
Hooray.
no way I pissed clean. So I don't know if that came through to the lady who did my interview and she was just like, "Oh yeah, he told me he had his medical card," and she just sent it through. I don't know, but I have not gotten a call. Still waiting. And so like now I'm keeping my phone next to me at all times waiting on this call from the lab. Now I have to do it to wait to hear coordinate my starting date, and if this lab calls me. Just like, I have to be glued to my phone, man. And I don't like that. I like to put it down every now and then. Other than that, I started, like we were talking about when Mikhailov, I started playing some Final Fantasy 14. There was one other thing that I wanted to touch on. The job, the package, doesn't matter, I guess. If it comes back to me.
I can't believe you're touching on your package again.
I'm always touching on the package of some sort.
Willie brought it up that time.
His head just went way.
Mikhailov is slowly dying through this recording. He regrets agreeing to be on this episode now.
I was just saying, we're not
better
even
than
that
being
far into
banned from the Discord.
He's deflating like a Thanksgiving Day parade balloon on Black Friday.
At least you typed out all your Raise Hail Praise Dales. I bet Jeff copy pasted.
True.
I believe in
I
Jeff.
bet he did.
I believe in a man named Jeff.
That would have been a Game Bud inside joke.
Just looking at the size
He
of his
probably knows where I
balls.
was going. Yeah, okay. Now there's a joke for like two people that aren't here.
That's okay. They'll laugh when they hear it.
Jeff will like it.
Jeff is howling right now at work, and people are looking at him strange. You know it.
I'm sure he's used to that.
Man, there was really one other. It's going to bother me. I don't remember what it was, but I guess, like I said, it doesn't matter. So moving
We're
on.
going to be halfway into talking about the plot of Starfield, and he's going to be like, "Oh yeah, I remember. I had some really good nachos."
It's not
Right.
about us playing Final Fantasy, right?
No, it wasn't about Final Fantasy.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't matter. So let's do some O-dubs, gentlemen, and start talking about some video games. We covered a game called Starfield. Now, I thought it was interesting that our last episode was about the first real 3D foray that Bethesda did into the PC gaming world with Morrowind. And I thought it would be a fun way to compare like where it began, quote unquote, because I mean, I love Daggerfall and Arena, but they really began, like the popularity began with Morrowind. So Morrowind up until Starfield.
Well, I think, you could make that case because Morrowind was the first one that I knew people that were widely buying for consoles. It was the first one that like had 3D rendered enemies and stuff instead of like the Doom style 2D billboarded sprites. Yeah.
Which, by the way, if we ever get around to Daggerfall, I want to run Daggerfall Unity with a few mods just to make things smooth and streamlined and smooth. But the sprite work that people have done for Daggerfall these days, crisp.
I'd like to check that out.
Crisp.
Always into seeing some tasty new pixel art.
For sure. So some O-dubs, boys. Starfield is an action role-playing game developed by Bethesda Game Studios and published by Bethesda Softworks. It was announced during Bethesda's E3 presentation in 2018. 5 years ago. This game takes place in a space-themed setting.
It's called Space.
Who would have thought that? And is the first new intellectual property developed by Bethesda in 25 years. Let that sink in.
That's not something I would brag about, but they bring it up in the Game Pass listing too, and I'm like, so you guys are basically admitting you've been coasting on sequels and spin-offs for a quarter century.
Yeah. The game was released for Windows and Xbox Series X and S on September 6th, 2023. Pause right there. There are mods on PC to replace the Xbox Game Studios logo or whatever it is in the beginning with the PlayStation logo. And then you can make the button prompts to be PlayStation button prompts instead. Because like I said, that's okay if you have a PlayStation controller. But I just think it's hilarious. Like there are some serious Sony butthurt over this game because it's not on PlayStation. And I love PlayStation to death. But also it's like, man, PlayStation, you guys also get games that Xbox doesn't get. So it's kind of fair.
I was going to say, Xbox needs something. They haven't really had a good exclusive in a while, and their incentive to getting a system is Game Pass. So they've been kind of focusing on getting third parties to kind of pad their Game Pass library, so it's just kind of nice to actually see something that makes me want to turn on my Xbox.
Yeah, I can understand that totally. So I don't need to go into the rest of this reading stuff. Other than it says the game received generally positive reviews from critics, with particular praise for its open world setting and soundtrack, though its story and exploration divided the critics. So, first impressions. Let's go. Adam, what were your first impressions with Starfield, my good sir?
So initially, I was kind of off Starfield because they over-advertised the shit out of this game. And whilst Bethesda didn't develop it, I really bounced off hard off Ghostwire as well.
Okay.
However, at the end of the day, I unboxed my Series X early. It was meant to be a Christmas present. Starfield was just an excuse. There were plenty of games that I wanted to unbox it early, let's be honest. But yeah, I unboxed it early to play Starfield. So day one, boot up the Series X and download Starfield to it. Over 58 gig on the Xbox. So I don't know what the download size was like for you guys, but it was pretty big.
Sir.
It was around 100.
I was going to say, let me tell you.
I think it was 112 if I remember correctly.
Yeah. That
Sounds about right.
I was going to say 114, so yeah, I think it's somewhere in that ballpark.
Starfield is... it's not going to tell me. God damn it. Let me manage properties.
I think it was 112 download, 127 once it was installed.
Well, I can tell you the installation size, at least, is 116.21 gigabytes.
Okay.
So yeah, but still, like double what it is for console. That's wild.
Yep. And this was also my first game in higher resolution as well. So I'm guessing initially I was like, this game is beautiful, fantastic. I started off really loving it. I only played this game for 4 hours and haven't gone back to it since. And there's going to be reasons for that, but my initial impressions at first were really good. I was loving it.
So you said you played it at a high resolution. Did you play on like a 1440 or a 4K TV, or what you got going on there?
2K. Yeah. So
2K.
yeah. initially, like, that first jump from 1080p to 2K.
It's a big difference, dude.
Yeah.
It's a big difference. Like, that's what my monitor is. My main gaming monitor is 1440p. And you drop it down to 1080 and you're like, oh, wow. The game will run smoother. Although, I couldn't drop my resolution in this, but we'll talk about that. So let's go next. Willie, what were your first impressions with this, my good sir?
So I knew in advance that this game caused problems when it was installed on a regular hard drive, but I still installed it on my regular hard drive because I didn't feel confident in freeing up space to get it to run on the SSD. And so I ran it on that, and the game's performance could be described as chug, 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 crash, chug, chug, crash, chug, 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 crash, chug, crash, crash, chug, chug, crash. I did end up moving it over to the SSD. At that point, it stopped chugging. I had a pretty solid frame rate, and it still kept crashing every 5 minutes. So I got off to a very rough start to it, and don't think I ever fully came off of what I would call a rough start. I have another first impression I'd like to bring up once everyone's gone around the table, but suffice it to say I played basically the tutorial like 30 times waiting for it to not crash when I talked to the guy this time.
Oh, Bethesda.
I have basically all of Barrett's dialogue memorized at this point. And everything was cool.
You mean Barrett actually said words? It wasn't just a bunch of random characters to make curse words? Fair enough.
There ain't no getting off this train, Ron.
What about you, Mick? What about you?
So, first impressions. I started up on my Xbox because I wanted to see how well the cross-save handled between Xbox and PC using Game Pass. And it was... Immediately, I was greeted by, oh, hey, you're finally awake. Or at least the Starfield version of that, which I booted into it, and I'm like, yep, this is a Bethesda game. You're starting off by gaining consciousness, and it's got that same level of, like, it's all black, and then you just kind of slowly open your eyes into the scene. You're going down this elevator into literally the crust of a moon. So that alone kind of got me, I wouldn't say in the feels, but it was a pretty cool experience. And then everybody starts talking. One guy puts his helmet on. His voice immediately changes to the muffled helmet noise, which I thought was a kind of a cool touch. And then, as I'm going into the tutorial, I just liked some of the little details that you were getting. Like, when there's a big, like, truck with a giant, like, chainsaw-like thing that just drills perfect holes into this rock and is literally there to make corridors. And so when you're walking through, you just happen to look up at the ceiling and you could see perfectly...
grooved spots.
Groove spots, thank you. You could tell I was trying to find the word. But it looked more like a rock ceiling than just random rock, and it was just very detailed. And going through that tutorial, once I got through it and got the first ship, I also really liked the fact that you're not just going on the ship, you're going on the ship. Like, you don't just click a button and all of a sudden you're flying. No, you go in. You click the button to climb the ladder to go into the main cabin from the landing bay. You walk through the cabin. There's a bed there. You can sleep if you need to. There's a little galley on the other side. You can actually cook.
There's a half-eaten salami sandwich.
There's a half-eaten salami sandwich from Barrett. Yeah, I forgot about that, but you're right. There's like a half a sandwich. And there's even a helmet that you can equip if you want to. And if you equip it, you can actually see, like, the tape if you're in first-person view, because there's tape on the front of it that says, do not use, which means it's like a cracked helmet. And so, very, very detailed. Nice little touches. And there's also a point where you're walking around and there's just stuff you can pick up. And I'm just walking around, I'm like, oh, a coffee cup. I can pick up the coffee cup. Yep, this is a Bethesda game.
Cheese wheel collecting mode engaged.
I did have a moment like that.
Yeah, so no, I know the term has been thrown around, but yeah, it feels like Skyrim in space. A coworker of mine was actually watching me play once. Same coworker I'm not very happy with right now for multiple reasons, but that's probably something for YABSPOD. He was complaining that there was no fantasy and there were no kill animations. And I just looked at him and I was like, those are two very fickle things to make you not want to play the game. It's space. There's no magic in space.
Does he realize that the fatality animations in Skyrim weren't in the launch? That was a patch.
Yeah.
That was added later.
I don't think he does. And he's the kind of guy who praises Morrowind as an ultimate masterpiece. So
what fucking kill animations were in Morrowind?
There were no
animation
kill
was
animations
in Morrowind?
There aren't even miss animations in Morrowind.
I don't know. This guy is, yeah, no, I love him dearly, but he is definitely going through some type of phase right now. Let's just put it that way.
Midlife crisis.
I mean, very possible. I mean, I feel bad for him. He lost his cat. I'm getting in a tit. I'm going off. I'm sorry. Not for this show. I rein it in, Mikhailov.
Put your dick away.
We hug you.
So,
I'll be okay.
Oh, Nate, is that Armless Palmer?
oh man, I keep looking for those, but I haven't seen any yet. Ever since you brought it up to me, I'm like, man, I want to try that.
That can is just so striking. Every time I see it, I'm like, yeah, that looks cool.
Nate, what about you, man? What were your first impressions, my good sir?
Yeah, so I had a similar first impression as Willie did, where I had installed this onto my non-solid state drive, and that was a mistake. So I ended up having to uninstall and reinstall, and everything worked perfectly for me after that. I thought the game had a strong introduction for the most part. I really liked the beginning section where you're going down into the mines, because, as you know, we all yearn for the mines. I thought that section was really cool, and I liked the way it handled when you get to the relic that you're after in the mines, and it goes into that cool little cutscene and all the music and lights and things. I thought it did a really cool job with that. And then, you keep going on, you get to the Barrett scene and where the pirates first attack you on the space station. And that's where the game started to kind of fall apart for me, because I was like, oh no, this is Bethesda combat. This is really bad.
When I said I'll come back to my first impressions, that because I had to do the tutorial fight like 20 times, I could not help but notice that it really felt like they were running Morrowind bandit code. Like, to the point where they'll shoot you with a laser twice and then run up and just start punching you for no reason while you're still shooting them with guns.
Yeah, and honestly, it was easier for me to get in with one of the hatchets that I found and just slice guys that were just letting me. They just were aiming the other way while I was whacking them with the hatchet. I was just like, yep, this is Bethesda AI.
Did you install the Stormtrooper mod or something?
Fun fact, I installed the Stormtrooper mod, but I couldn't get it to work.
Yeah, so I could immediately tell the AI were idiots. And I think I can talk a little bit about this part too, is as soon as you get done with that and you do get into the spaceship, which was cool, and you go into space, it gives you the space tutorial too. And the whole time I was in that spaceship, I was like, man, No Man's Sky did this a million times better. Space combat was way more fun in No Man's Sky. And I know you're not supposed to, but I cannot help compare this game to No Man's Sky in a lot of regards. And it did not live up to No Man's Sky in that regard.
Yeah, I think most ship things, No Man's Sky does slightly better. Other than scope of ships. Like, you can't build your ship in No Man's Sky. You just kind of have to find one. So, that's one thing I think that Starfield did better. But yes, Adam?
So, yeah, having not played No Man's Sky, I actually really loved the ship combat in this. Like, I grew up with Ace Combat, Crimson Sky, that kind of thing, and just after the shit fight that was Star Wars Squadrons, after so much time looking for a good space combat game, this one really hit the mark for me, personally.
Huh.
Having played No Man's Sky and not being able to get into it, even though I've tried like 3 or 4 times, I actually liked everything about the ships and the ship combat in Starfield better. For 2 reasons. One, it just felt a little bit more streamlined, and 2, you did have that level of customizability. Also, what makes me like Starfield better than No Man's Sky is No Man's Sky is a bunch of planets with nothing on them. And while yes, that is present in this game, you also have your areas of civilization where humans have settled.
I can see that.
I mean, if we're going to go into the space combat right from the jump, I do say I agree that it's more streamlined, but I think it's to the detriment of the combat in Starfield. Like, to me, it almost feels like... Okay, I will say, for one thing, it does not feel like standing Bethesda combat. It does feel like they've done something new here. But it also feels like just a really simplified version of what every first-person cockpit game has ever done. And it's like, the whole time I'm fighting in that game, I'm like, I didn't think No Man's Sky had spectacular space combat either. But, like, the whole time I'm sitting here like, man, I wish I was playing Free Space, or I wish I was playing TIE Fighter, you know? Games where the combat's a little bit more involved. And this one I felt more like I was clicking on a ship and waiting for it to explode. Like, it felt like almost like a spaceship version of FF6 menu combat. Like, I'm just clicking on the fight button until I click on the magic button, by which I mean the missile.
I did love my missiles. Missiles came in handy for sure.
But
so I guess that just leaves me.
Honestly, the missile thing, though, that really reminded me of No Man's Sky combat, where you took down their shields with the laser first and then shot missiles at them.
And just load them with missiles until they blow up. Yes, sir.
Which, again, dates back to like TIE Fighter.
So, I was pretty hyped for this game. I'm a big Bethesda mark. Everybody knows it. Like, I knew this game was going to be janky. I knew that they were running the same engine, just prettier. You know, it's like, it's same old with Bethesda. But I was also like, I get excited for Bethesda games because at the core of it all, they are a core. And once they release modding tools, that's when Bethesda games start to become what they are. Right? You look back at Skyrim. If anyone owns a PC and they still play vanilla Skyrim, it's either A, because they don't know how to mod or aren't interested in them at all, or there is no B. It's like, because it's like, you know, like, that's how you make those games better. So you got a problem with the combat, there's a mod for that. Like, you got any kind of thing. So it's like a baseline, and it's always cool to see, to me, when people like go and they create these full-fledged quests. Look at the game, The Forgotten City, that came out, and it's on Steam. That started off as a Skyrim mod, and that dude made that into an actual game because people liked it so much, and now it is for sale on Steam as an actual game.
To be fair, not everybody wants to spend hours and hours and hours installing mods and doing load orders.
And see, that's what I recommend Wabajack, because you don't have to worry about that. You hit one button and it does it all for you.
Also, to be fair, I feel like I feel like a video game should be good as released by the developers and not have to wait for a community to mod the game to make it a good game.
Oh yeah, I don't disagree with that either. But at the same time, it is what it is with Bethesda, right? But like, so loading into it, I kind of knew what I was getting into. So when I loaded in, it was kind of choppy, and I'm like, what in the fuck? Why is it like this? So I'm looking for different things that it could possibly be, because it was on my SSD. I'm like, it's fine. So I went and I looked under GeForce Drive, and it told me that there was a new video driver available for update. That way it would, and it was specifically for Starfield. Okay. So I ran that, And once I loaded back into the game, it ran smooth like butter. I did have some catches in places like Neon City or what was the first place you go to?
New Atlantis.
I can't remember.
New Atlantis.
New Atlantis. Thank you. I kept wanting to say Paradiso. I'm like, that's not the first place you go to. Paradiso is not the place. But yeah, New Atlantis. I would get some chug in there.
That seems to be really common. I saw a lot of people reporting having like frame rate issues during like city areas.
I will say I didn't have those issues.
No? Well, you do have a bit better graphics card than I do. But it chugged a little bit here and there, and it was mostly when I was using my controller. I noticed when I used mouse and keyboard, I wouldn't get any of the issues that I was running into.
That's very interesting.
Like for instance, like I'd be running and I would go to turn, so I would take my like thumbstick and turn it to the right, and my character wouldn't turn to the right immediately, but then it would turn right and just spin. And I'm like, all right, but then I would switch to mouse and keyboard, and all of that went away. So I was like, okay, weird. So I just started playing with mouse and keyboard. But first impressions, game was beautiful. Not the prettiest game I've ever played, but it's the prettiest Bethesda game I've ever played.
Okay, I think that's fair.
I enjoyed that their NPCs seemed more human-esque than they have in other games. Like they're getting better at character design. And I thought, I mean, if I'm being honest with you guys, I know you guys haven't played it yet, but this game just plays like Fallout 4 in space. Like the shooting combat and stuff, it is straight up Fallout. Like they were like, let's make a new IP, and they took their two old IPs and combined them and made a new IP. All right, that's basically what happened. But
the thing though, the Fallout comparison's kind of killing me too, because I missed the VATS from Fallout 3 when I was doing the land combat. You know,
VATS would have been nice, or something similar. You know, I agree. You talked about not. Try not to compare it to No Man's Sky, but I feel like that's a thing, because I feel like this game was very much inspired by things you could do in No Man's Sky, scanning things on planets, using a cutter for mining and things like that. I don't feel like it was implemented as well as it was in No Man's Sky, because I feel like in No Man's Sky that's a big mechanic, whereas in this it was just something you can do. So there's very much ups and downs with it, but like my first few hours with it, like I was on board, and I'm still on board. I still think it's a decent game, right? And we'll talk about more in depth. But no, go ahead.
Let's all be honest, but like release Starfield is a million times better than release No Man's Sky.
That's also probably pretty fair. I didn't get around to No Man's Sky until it had the benefit of a couple of years patching. And even when I give my score to this game, I'm going to state up front, I am very confident that by 3 months of this game's existence, my performance issues will have been patched out.
Yeah, I can almost bet that. And
patched or modded out, one or the other.
That was exactly what I was about to say. I was going to say, or modded out. Yeah.
And actually, the last time I played No Man's Sky was before a lot of the patching was done, so in fairness, if I were to go back to that and try it again. Sorry, Willie, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, you might find something that you like now, so maybe it's worth jumping into it sometime.
It might be.
It's a very different game. The core of it's still the same.
You can always find a home at Dalton's beloved base, fix
that was
Forza
my
Horizon
base.
4.
That's Nate's base.
And they did fix Forza Horizon 4, so I give myself credit for that.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, that's right.
You suck at where it counts.
My base was Daisy's Tower, the one that I just made.
That's right.
Ridiculously tall.
That was the big one, though. That wasn't your first base.
Yeah.
I don't remember what your first base was called. I think mine was called something... I think I called mine, New Everglades.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if my first base was called, Nate Sucks or something.
It was. That's right. It was Nate Sucks with an X.
Yeah.
Is there more civilization in it now than there was when it first came out?
Kind of.
I mean, if you're looking for sprawling metropolises and stuff, not.
But there are
really.
Bases on the planet where you can run into. Yeah. Like if you're on a Viking system, there'll be Viking settlements. They're small, but they'll exist, and they'll have Viking landing places in the area.
There's also this city building element to it now. These outposts that you can land at, and you can help build them up, but you can't do. It's not going to be a New Atlantis scale city, not yet.
See, that's what really kind of turns me off to it. And I know it's a weird turnoff, but I just can't imagine all these planets and not a single one has civilization.
Okay, but a counter to that for you, sir. Starfield. There are 1,000 planets and not one alien.
There's one.
Okay.
But even then, I think they're mutated humans.
So it's like, at least like in No Man's Sky does have different races, at least, you know what I'm saying? It's just, but at the same time, it's like compare and contrast them. I don't know. One is a survival game. One's an RPG.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess, well, all first impressions out of the way, we can just keep talking about it. One of the things that I did quite enjoy in this was the, just the way that when I would find new equipment, like I don't know if this goes to my Final Fantasy 14 with loving glamour and liking making myself look cool and everything, but I was all about trying to piece together outfits that looked super cool, and I just really enjoyed the helmet designs.
Yeah.
Like there were a lot of cool different helmet designs, and I liked the effect that when someone was wearing a helmet with a clear face, that you could still see their face, but it was all weird because you were looking at it through glass.
Yeah, I noticed that on my model because like one thing I like to do in these games is I like to go into third-person mode and rotate the camera so I can see myself. And one of my favorite parts was just seeing my dude's face distorted through the helmet.
Oh, while we're talking about character models and stuff, I want to say I wasn't so thrilled with Morrowind's character creation, so seeing a full-on, Bethesda make any guy you want, I had a concept for my character ready, and they made it really easy to get him to the goal of what I wanted. Like, I had an idea for this guy's, like, ethnic background, for his personality and all that, and I was able to put it together.
Yeah, and my character, like, I wanted to make a guy that looked like me, and I think I fucking nailed it, to be perfectly honest. Like, I got so excited, then I finished making, I was like, hey, Kayla, come look at this. And my wife come look at my character, and she's like, whoa, that really looks like you. I made him just this, like, fat, muscular dude, which is kind of me. And the face, this is like the most I've ever seen a face look like mine in a video game. So I was pretty impressed with that.
I am currently... go ahead, Adam.
The character creation in this is leaps and bounds above what any other Bethesda game has been able to do.
Yeah.
Yep, 100%.
I wanted to give just unqualified praise to an aspect of this game, and I wanted to say absolutely, without any qualifications, I think that this game's character creation kicks ass.
Okay, I finally found the picture. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, all I was going to say was they actually also throw in, because it's the future, a complete and total recharacterization if you want it. So, whereas other Bethesda games only let you change like hairstyles and beards and tattoos and stuff like that, this one has a section called like Enhance, and it literally advertises you can look completely different. And yeah, it's the full character creator. You pay like 2,000, 3,000 credits, you got the full character creator back.
Nice.
So I actually didn't like how my character initially came across. And the fact that I was just able to go in and completely change it was a big win as far as my opinion of this game.
I had to scroll through our chat to find it. But I wanted to point out that Willie was whipping some ass looking like Ted Turner. Like, his character straight up looks like he owned TBS. He owns a wrestling business. He's getting into it with Vince McMahon in the 90s. And now he's in space.
I kind of wanted my character to look like, if you wanted to cast him in a movie, you would have to cast Sam Elliott to play him.
I could see that. A Ted Turner biopic.
So I wanted to seem... I wanted to him to seem like he was like, not necessarily... I don't know, kind but practical, not cruel, but like there's like an unkillable twinkle in his eye.
Fair enough. Did anyone pick the adoring fan trait? You did?
I made him a member of my crew. I love that guy.
I want to have the adoring fan, but if I do go back to playing this game more, I'm absolutely going to seek that out.
Yeah. For people that don't know, it's an Easter egg. It's a throwback to Oblivion, where in Oblivion, when you run the arena, if you become the champion of the arena, this dude just runs up to you, and he is just obsessed with you, and his name is the Adoring Fan. And in this game, you can take the trait that you are like a famous space guy, and you have an adoring fan who is the same voice actor, which I love that they brought that guy back, and he comes up, it's really you! It's like the same way he introduces himself in Oblivion, and it's tremendous.
I can't believe I'm literally following in your footsteps.
Now, speaking of adding people to your crew, how did you guys feel about the crew system? I don't know how much you guys got to expand your ships, really, so I don't know how much room you had for a crew. I ended with, I think, 5 or 7 slots for crew in my ship. But, like, so I'm curious about that and how you felt about the companions, but we can touch on that second.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I got a little bit bored of the game before I got to the point where I could expand my crew, so I did not touch on that part of the game.
Okay. I hired a few people. Like, I brought Sarah with me just because I like Sarah. And I ended up doing a side quest where I got another crewmate who's like my co-pilot. The only thing I feel like I'm missing, and I think I'm going to get it when I finish this Vanguard side quest I'm in, is I need a doctor. Because I want to be able to go back onto my ship and be able to just talk to somebody right then and there and be like, yeah, I need to be healed. I need my afflictions gone. I need you to give me some med packs. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily going to be available in a crew member, because all I was able to really see about it was that each crew member addresses specific stats. I don't think the Adoring Fan addresses anything. I think his only thing is he'll, like, give you stuff.
Yeah, he blows you.
Well, that too. But I like it, but I also have played a game in the past called Star Trek Online, where you also can build your crew, and they also address specific stats of your ship. In that specific game, depending on who was in your crew, it depended on what skills you had. Like, each crew member had specific skills, and those were like your hotkeys and the stuff that you were actually able to do. So, in this game, I mean, it's kind of nice to have companions, but I've been mostly going companion-free. But I tend to do that in every Bethesda game. I don't really like people following me around.
Yeah.
I am sworn to carry your burdens.
I am sworn to carry your burdens.
Dude, I can ditch my thalls, or whatever they're called, as fast as possible in Skyrim.
Oh, your things? Yeah.
I was going to say thralls, like a vampire or something.
Well, you can get thralls in Skyrim as well, but you have to be a vampire.
Got it. Yeah, so like I ditch those guys as quick as possible because I feel like they're just in my way.
I think I found Bellathor in Starfield, by the way.
Really?
He sounds...
Wait, like the merchant from Whiterun?
Yeah. There's an NPC on Mars that runs a store, and his dialogue is very similar to Bellathor. I mean, he's not saying the, like, I'd sell my own sister or something like that.
Oh,
but basically, like, I think he says everything's for sale. When you say, what do you have for sale? He'll either say a little bit of this or a little bit of that, or he'll say, take a look. Like, he's got some very similar dialogue and similar sound in his voice.
Speaking of, well, it's probably the same voice actor, because they brought in a lot of the same voice actors. There is a character you meet in the story, who... it took me 5 seconds of hearing him talk before I was like, that's Sheogorath. That is 100% the guy who does Sheogorath. Oh, I love cheese. Like that guy. Yeah, just okay, so I really liked the companions. I liked Sarah the most. I'll talk about that in a few minutes. And then there's a few other ones. There's the girl, I had a hard time pronouncing her name, but she's like a foreign chick. She's awesome. There's Cowboy Magoo. That's what I call. I think his name's Sam, but he's a space cowboy, and he's Sam Cole, and us Coles we're fighting spirits and all this. He doesn't talk like that, but in my head that's how he talks.
Can you get a cowboy hat in the game?
Like he would.
Yes.
I need a cowboy hat.
My dude definitely needs to at least own a cowboy hat, even if he never wears it.
Yeah.
Well, I've already gone through a quest line that you're basically a sheriff, or you're a deputy for a sheriff, and then you don't become the sheriff yourself, but you become a full-fledged ranger, and you get like a badge, and you get a uniform, and the badge is on the side.
No, you go there because of Sam, don't you?
No, I just pulled up.
Okay, I got taken there by Sam Cole, one of the companions.
Oh, no, I just pulled up there.
He's an ex Freestar Ranger.
So, Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say that's which is the prevailing people on that planet. Like the UC are on New Atlantis and
yeah, the Freestar Collective is on Aquila.
That's a very Bethesda thing for you to just roll up to a planet on accident and then end up joining a faction.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was very Skyrim-esque. As a matter of fact, I remember how I ended up in Aquila. I was doing another faction quest for this technology company, and it's kind of the Starfield equivalent of the Thieves Guild, because I was doing a lot of sneaking around and using digipicks, which are the Starfield version of lockpicks, and I ended up going to Aquila because I was sent there by my boss, and then I walked up, and there was a bank robbery in process where they were taking hostages, and then the Marshal of the Freestar Rangers asked for my help, and that's how I got involved in that quest line.
Yeah, see, I did that quest and then never went back to do more Freestar Ranger stuff. I meant to, I just never did.
You get a ship for finishing it.
I do think that's funny that you were actively involved in smuggling and then the cops ask you for help and you're like, sure, why not?
Yeah,
Very Bethesda.
Was it Ryujin? Were you working for Ryujin Industries?
Yes, I was working for Ryujin Industries.
Yeah, that's just a quest that you just get. You go walking by this fucking thing that's sitting there. It's a kiosk. And the kiosk is like, hey, come apply today for a job at Ryujin Industries. And then it pops up and you're like, all right. And then now you have a quest and you're allowed to go do that. And you apply and you go and get the job. And they send you to start doing robbery and shit.
Oh, when I apply for that job, I put all the answers that they wouldn't want to have on a job application. Like, I have no prior experience in this. I have a criminal history. Like, everything. And they still hired me. They were like, well, you're not the type of person that we typically hire, but you know what? Our HR person disappeared, so welcome to the team.
I know. So I had a thing where I accidentally picked up something off someone's desk and stole it. And a guard came and got me. I don't remember if it was in New Atlantis or if it was in Neon. I don't remember which city I was in. But I get thrown in jail and I get taken to this like big area with this guy who's like very pristine, like space cop guy. And he's like, oh, so you're a thief, huh? And I'm thinking to myself, I accidentally picked up a coffee cup or something like that. And they're like, well, we can throw you away forever or you can help us. I'm like, all right, well, obviously I'm going to help you. So they send me undercover into the Crimson Raiders, which is space pirates. And the guy warns you specifically, don't get caught up in what they're doing. Remember your job. You're not allowed to kill anybody. Don't kill any innocents. And don't become one of them. Okay, no problem. So through the quests, I accidentally became one of them. I went and did a mission where they were telling me, basically I had to do stealth. And just a quick comment, stealth in this game is fucking broken and doesn't work very well.
No, it doesn't. So
I'm trying to stealth my way out of this. Couldn't manage it. Ended up having to shoot my way out. Got reprimanded for that. And he was like, next time you do that, you're off this case and you'll never be a part of this again. All right. So like I do a few more missions and then I get put into another situation where I need to sneak my way out. And I can't do it. So I shoot my way out. And I'm like, I'll just take the repercussions. Well, I got kicked out of that. And then I got accepted into the Crimson Raiders. So like the Crimson Raiders knew nothing of me being a spy. But now I was no longer a spy. And anytime these people saw me, they would shoot at me. So now my ship is just... So at one point, talk about just to quickly go back to ship combat. I ended up putting an auto turret on my ship. So I would just aim and lock onto something and my ship would just shoot it down itself. Let me tell you, that was a blessing and a curse. A blessing and a curse. Because when you're in a space battle, it's really helpful. When you're running from cops trying to not make your bounty super expensive, and when you fly into space and all the cops' ships are flying at you, and your ship is automatically just shooting them all down, racking you up 15,000 credits every time. Bruh, I reloaded. I was like, I don't have that much money. But yeah, I don't remember what I was talking about.
Yeah.
You were talking about joining the pirates.
So they call that shit dope. Oh, pirates, yeah. So I really enjoyed how like they did a really good job with branching quests in this because there are multiple ways that you can go about finishing things, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, well,
not everybody's going to have the same experience.
Yeah. Real quick, because our good buddy Adam has to drop here in a few minutes. I just want to see if he has any final thoughts for us and maybe wants to kick us off with a score for us before we continue talking on.
For sure.
Yeah, cool. So first off, I think that Bethesda made the right call making this for current gen consoles and PC only. It really would have, and it's a common problem with majority of the games that come across on the Xbox. Even between the X and the S, there's a big difference in what they can make games do. So they definitely made the right call there because this game is beautiful. Again, the pro would be the character creation, best looking character creation I've seen in a Bethesda game. And I really did enjoy the ship combat. I very much echo what you guys have said about the ground combat. This is more Fallout 4 in space to me than Skyrim, by all means. And I also missed the VATS system. That would have been a great addition because everyone knows their shooting stuff is janky. And I guess it's going to be a case of mods will make this better. And they better bring them to console as well because they were able to do it for Fallout 4.
Right. And Skyrim.
Fair. God, I didn't even think about imagining what the PS4 equivalent of this game would look like. Like when Cyberpunk came out for the PS4 and it wasn't even a video game.
I was just about to say, they probably learned from that mistake.
Thanks, CD Projekt Red.
Yeah. Which, by the way, quick note. Apparently with the new DLC, Cyberpunk is fucking phenomenal now, according to everyone. So that's a good come up for them. I'm glad.
As for a rating, I am going to dive back into this game. I do want to get more of the story going and get better at combat. So I'm going to give it a 6 space helmets out of 10 ships. All
right. And plug your stuff, my good sir.
Okay. So I am the only host at the moment for Revival and Extinction, the video game and anime podcast where I consume a piece of media for at least 5 hours and tell you how good it is. You can find me in the Discord, TSMP Discord, all caps, with you lovely fellas as well. And also on basically anywhere where you can get your podcasts. Spotify is my main one. I am going to look at maybe doing subscriptions later. We'll see how that goes. And Dalton, that was what you were missing at the intro, Spotify. I can see
it absolutely was. Yeah, that just clicked in my head. I was like, son of a bitch, that's what it was with Spotify. Those motherfuckers changed their ads and now none of my shows make money anymore. And it's like, thanks, Spotify. Yeah. Appreciate it.
I'm going to do some research on the subscriptions and just see what that is, because I've noticed that popping up in the Spotify podcasters. So
I want to say it's like their proprietary version of Patreon, basically.
Yeah. You can find me anywhere you find podcasts.
Yeah, well, thanks a ton for coming on, Adam. It was great having you here, man.
Thanks for joining.
No worries. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, man, for sure. And just email that over to me, dude, and I'll get you added in, and it'll all be gravy.
Will do. Awesome. Thank you all. Bye.
Bye. Good night, Adam. Thank you.
G'day.
So, here's something I had a question for you guys. Kind of like, I think that this game probably sucked everybody in at some point. I'm not sure if it lost everybody at one point, but my question for you is, what really sucked you in and got you going and making you want to play the game, and where did it kind of start losing you, if it did?
Okay. So first and foremost, it was like the detail to the world. Just walking through these corridors and stuff and looking at like, these were like, they looked like livable spaces that people were living in. You know what I mean? It didn't just seem like, okay, here's a corridor, here's a bed, here's a computer. It was like, there's stuff, there's folders, there's notes, there's board. So that was one thing that I role played, honestly, is that my character collected board games and any sort of like desktop things. So that was something that I was always weighing myself down with for no reason. It was like things to decorate a desk with, which you
just carry around 40 drinking birds in a Newton's cradle.
Yeah, and then you can like take that stuff, if you go into your cockpit and you drop it on the ground, and then you use like, the hold A to pick it up and move it, you can put it on your dashboard, quote unquote, of your ship, and it'll stay there. And you could fly around with them on there.
Wait, you can hold A to move stuff?
Yeah, you can grab things, and I think it's A. It's one of the buttons. You can hold it, and it'll grab it. Yeah.
Probably E on a controller or a keyboard.
I believe so.
Because you could do that in like Skyrim, just drag bodies around and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe in Skyrim it was the Z key, if I remember. It like had its own key, which I thought was odd.
Wait, you could drag bodies in Skyrim?
Have you never seen people's horrible murder museums?
No.
Oh man, you need to live. You haven't lived, sir, until you've seen a cockpit full of potatoes.
Or at the very least, killed a frostbite spider and made it do a stupid little dance.
Made
The
a
only
little
thing
love.
I did was get like a dead troll to dance in Amalur.
Oh man.
Oh man, Amalur was fun. I need to get back on that one at some point.
Me too.
I don't think I ever uninstalled it, so that's good.
Speaking of potatoes, real quickly, there's an Easter egg that you can find, and this is kind of like in the beginning. I did find a potato relatively early on, and it made me giggle. The description of a potato is it's a potato. It can be mashed, smashed, or put in a stew.
I didn't find any sweet rolls though, so I was a little bummed.
I did.
Of course.
I did. I found one, and I was like, tremendous. Of course, yeah. Also, I posted pictures in the recording chat. It doesn't look super duper like him, but these posters on Mars are supposed to represent Doom.
Yeah, they are.
I was looking at that, and it definitely reminded me of the cover art of the first game where he's standing on the like kind of mountain of dead dudes.
Yeah, they said that it was like Mars's tribute to the savior of Mars that made it livable for them today. So,
beautiful.
Doom lore is canon in Starfield, I suppose.
Nice.
I'm glad we checked on that because I didn't even think about the Microsoft connection when I first said it. I'm just like, if there's a Mars, you got to go and see if Doom guys are around.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, just another quick Easter egg, the Halo Reach planet is in this game.
Huh.
Which is pretty interesting as well. Again, that Microsoft things that you can do. But to get back to your point, Nate, another thing that really pulled me in was honestly the companions. I really enjoyed the relationship with the companions. I feel like that they really improved that over the past few games. Because Fallout 4, Skyrim, my favorite companions were always modded companions.
Mm-hmm. I remember you talked a lot about that one modded companion from Skyrim you used to carry around and had fun the dialogue.
Oh, Inigo. Yes, Inigo, the blue Khajiit. Yeah, he's the man.
Yes.
Loved them. And I was actually able to connect with vanilla. Like, I never gave a fuck about Lydia.
No one did.
You know what I'm saying?
That's why I used a line from her when I was making fun of how bad the companions are in other games in the series.
So, but I really did enjoy these companions to the point that, and this is a spoiler, just for anyone knows, there is a point where you can romance your companions. And I ended up marrying Sarah. And there comes to a point in the quest, in the main story quest, where you are gathering these artifacts, and this dude shows up to try to stop you, named the Hunter, right? And the Hunter really just comes at you hard and tries to kill you, but you have a choice. It's either stay and protect the building there, or go to the Eye, which is this space station that y'all have up there. It's like you get a choice to go to do either one. So I stayed on the planet and helped defend the place in New Atlantis, and went back up to the Eye, and Sarah was lying dead in a pool of blood. Everyone else was just injured, but my wife, the one that I married, I went to a fucking marriage session. I met her mom. I was so invested in this, and then she just died right in front of me. It was that moment that I was like, okay, all right, now I got to see I have to see this game to the end. Yeah. They got me.
Yeah, and for context, Sarah is one of the first people you meet in this game. Like, you meet her at New Atlantis at the very beginning. She's one of the first people you go out doing missions with in space.
I like blondes, what can I say?
There's a character that I'm currently working with in the Vanguard quests, and her name is, what's it called? I think Hadrian or something like that. Hadria. I forget her name, but it's like something along those lines. And she is voiced and characterized so well that if she's a romance option, I'm going to go with her because I just really like not only her backstory, but the way the voice actor portrays her. First off, she's a clone of like a military tyrant. And they don't really go into detail as to how a woman is cloned from a man, but she calls him dad or her father because there was really no other term for it. But she wasn't raised by him. She was raised by guardians. And then she mentions that she had spent time on Mars in the mines. And so one of the dialogue choices is, why are your eyes red? Is that part of the cloning process? And she said, no. She said, I spent time working in the deep mines of Mars, and the dust seeps into everything, including eye pigment.
Ah.
And that to me was just such a neat little touch. And it just, I don't know, just that adding to her personality. I like this character. Like, she's the first, like, even Sarah, like, I like Sarah, but this, and I wish I could remember her name. I know it's like Hadria or something like
Andrea.
that. What's it called?
Andrea? I just
remembered
remembered
it. This is Vanguard.
Oh. Never mind.
I want to say it's Hadrian or something like that.
It's Greg.
Dalton, did the name Vevictus show up in your playthrough at all?
Vevictus?
Yeah.
You can't say that without me thinking of Legacy of Kain.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Oh. His name came up 3 times in my playthrough. And the woman I was just talking about is apparently a clone of him. He was like a very well-respected military leader.
So we did completely separate quests then.
We did. Absolutely. You did mostly story, too. I haven't even touched the main story. I've literally been just doing faction quests. I haven't gotten into Outpost yet. I touched on shipbuilding, but I got hooked into this game once the faction quest started. Because in every Bethesda game, that's usually what keeps me going.
And I will say that the faction quests are much more interesting than like the early days of like the Fighters Guild, where they're like, just go kill some rats.
It's very Skyrim-esque because...
Oh, you have no idea.
Yeah, you start in like whatever starts the quest, and then you get introduced to everybody, and then it just goes down this whole rabbit hole of like an interarching story, which is exactly what happens in Skyrim. You join the Thieves Guild, you end up in a whole storyline. You join the Dark Brotherhood, same thing. And there's usually some kind of massive plot twist at the end. There was one plot twist in the Freestar Collective one, or the Freestar Rangers one, where I actually found myself feeling bad for a bad guy. Or feeling bad for somebody that I was, like, moving in to stop, and that was actively trying to kill me.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to, again, they've gotten better at making you care, their quest writing and things like that. Yeah.
On the flip side of that, the final boss of that quest line, when you meet him, you're forced to be nice to him, and he's such an asshole. And at the end of that quest line, you have a choice to attack him and fight him. Not only did I take that choice, I blew his head off, and I picked up his hat, and I wear it every time.
Ha!
There you go. Attaboy.
That feels like something a Fallout character would do in a good way.
So, I keep comparing this game to Fallout, right? But let me tell you where it gets very Skyrim, other than that. So as you're collecting these artifacts, you start coming across these weird temples. You have to land on these planets and aim around with your scanner until you start getting distortions in your scanner. And then you follow the distortions until you find these temples. You go into the temples and there are these weird rings that raise up and they look super cool, right? Let me give you, just so you boys have a quick reference. This is what happens when you go into the middle of them after you complete it, right? They all go together and it becomes like this circle thing. In these temples, it's really strange because you'll see you see the glimmers of light that are in there. They're like those, and they'll be floating around, and you have to fly towards them because there's no gravity in these. and like fly through them, and then they'll move to another part of the room. And it depends random numbers of how many times you do that. You go into that circle, and when you come out of that circle, you have a power. And when I tell you that it was just dragon shouts, but they're not called dragon shouts, they're starborn powers. Bro, one of them was Fusroda, basically. The one that was really cool, though, was like you could hit things with it and it would turn gravity off in that spot. So like things would just start floating up. So that was a cool spell you could hit with like in crowd control with that. But there were so many. Bro, the menu for all these powers is huge. I got a quarter of them before I beat the game.
Wow.
But dude, at that point I was like, man, they really did just mash Fallout and Skyrim and stick it in space. That's exactly what this is.
I haven't even gotten to that point yet, and I'm already like 20 hours in.
So getting towards like the end of the game, it starts to deal with multiverses. You end up meeting this character called the Emissary, and they end up just looking like whichever companion you are closest to, I think, because this Emissary like revealed her face and it was Sarah. And I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, the Emissary and the Hunter. There are an infinite number of them. They have done this an infinite number of times, where they come across this person trying to get to the Unity, which is the thing that you're trying to get to by piecing all these artifacts together. And they said, this is the first time you have survived. In every other instance, it has been the female or the partner dies instead of, it's always you that dies and not your partner. And they go on to do all this with the Emissary and the Hunter. And it's like, there's this whole branching thing which starts going into parallel universes and all this other shit going on. But one of the coolest quests, and this is we can start getting into ratings and stuff pretty soon, because I don't want to go on too long. But one of the coolest quests is you end up landing on, you get a distress signal from this research base. This is during the main quest, because this is for hunting for an artifact. So you land at this place and everything's fine. Like the guy at the gate doesn't know what the fuck you're talking about, but he's like, all right, I'll let you in. So they let you in and you're kind of going in and everyone's like, why are you here? They put it on to high alert because you're like armed coming up in there. And you start walking along with the dude. He's taking you to meet the head researcher or whatever. And all of a sudden it just goes, and you are in this decrepit, destroyed, disgusting looking, just grotesque laboratory. And you're walking around and these enemies are spawning and you're having to shoot them and kill them. And all of a sudden, and you're back into the normal place. And the guy's like, where did you go? You just disappeared. What the hell just happened? So it ends up turning out that this laboratory is doing research on one of the artifacts. And whatever they're doing is causing a split in a time vortex where you are going in and out between two different realities. In one reality, everyone in the plant died but Rufus. And in the other reality, Rufus died to save everyone else. And at the end of the quest, it is your choice to pick which reality you want to be in when you pull the artifact, because whichever one that is going to be the reality that stays. And I thought that was super cool. But in the end of the game, because I'm going to touch on the ending. Mikhailov, if you want to pop your earphones off, you're more than welcome to.
No, it's fine.
You get through, you gather all the artifacts. The Emissary and the Hunter give you a choice. Pick a side. Because the Hunter thinks anybody who can get to the Unity should be able to go in there. The Emissary thinks that you should kind of guard it a little bit. Not everyone deserves to have that power. So it's like, well, most libertarians I know are assholes, so I'm not going for that everyone can have the thing. So I'm going to go with we should probably guard it just a little bit. So we'll go on with the Emissary. So we end up meeting with the Hunter. It's a whole long-ass ending boss fight. It's super good. The ending boss in this game is fun. You beat him. You get access to the Unity. You get into your ship. You teleport to the Unity. You enter it. And you see somebody standing ahead of you. And you go walking up. And it's fucking you. You're looking at yourself that's standing there and starts talking to you. And he's like, hey, man, glad you made it this far. And just basically starts explaining to you that, like, you're about to become one with the universe if you go through, or you can turn around and go back and relive your life. And he starts, like, showing all these moments that have happened throughout your gameplay where it's like, because you sided with these people, this is what's happened to them since you've, this is what's going to happen to them if you go, this is what's going to happen here, this is what's going to happen there. But if you go through the Unity, you see what happens. And I'm like, well, obviously I'm not going to turn around. I made it all this way. I'm going through. So you go through, and the game starts over. It's just like No Man's Sky, right? Where No Man's Sky takes you get to the center, and then it takes you all the way back. And you start off in a whole new star system. This one just puts you into a whole new reality, but you are now a Starborn. You have one of those badass fucking ships like they have, and you have this really cool armor set, and you can skip the main story, where they're just like, oh, okay, so you know what you're here to do? All right, cool. So then it just gives you a thing to go get all the artifacts. And let me tell you, boys, and this is why I bring all of this up. I played through, I got to the story, I saw the ending, I'm a Starborn now, I can go do whatever I want. And I haven't felt the need. I'm just like, I might go back and play it a little bit tonight just because we're talking about it. And I want to decorate the home, because I did the perk where I get the house. And I do want to do some decorating just to see that part of the game and do some ship building to really round off my experience. But I think I'm going to hold off a little bit before I really dive into it again. Be it, like you said, patches to make it run a little smoother, or just some interesting mods,
Possible DLC.
So the place the game lost you then was the ending?
It's the new game. Like I don't have any drive to go back and play it through again, unless I'm just going back to do side quest stuff. Like I have no intention on going and collecting all the artifacts again. At least not right now.
That is weird, though, that powering through the main quest would be enough to make you feel satisfied with a Bethesda game. Because I usually feel like the general feeling of satisfaction is everything except the main quest.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed the main story. I really did.
It's a very interesting point that a company that thrives on making games that people want to play multiple playthroughs of has integrated multiple playthroughs into their main plot without making you have to start a whole new game.
That's true.
Yeah, I thought it was a very interesting choice, where it's like it just right into New Game Plus.
And then on top of that, that gives you an opportunity to go through and do quests and build ships and outposts that you haven't done before. So that playthrough is going to be completely different from the playthrough that you just finished.
Yeah.
So it's literally another universe. Yeah,
pretty much. And I've had like certain dialogue options that are like Starborn, and you can give the answer for that. It's pretty cool.
So do you think is there like a second ending if you play through this whole mode, or?
That's what I'm curious. See, that's the one thing I'm curious about, Willie.
So I do wonder if there's like a true ending or whatever, in addition to whatever choice you made the first time around.
Yeah, like going through and finishing it and being a Starborn already. I'd be very curious. Even if it's dialogue, just like, oh, well, we're here again.
You're finally awake. That's it. If you finish the game a second time, you wake up in Skyrim.
I do want to point out, one of my favorite things to do in this game was take cool screenshots. Like, I am a video game photographer whore in Final Fantasy 14.
There's plenty of stuff to see in this game, that's for damn sure.
And I'm just like, I loved it, dude. I've got so many screenshots. Like this one in particular. I'm going to send it to the chat real quick, of the London Monument on Earth. I don't know, man. I really enjoyed the photo mode. But again, I use G-Pose in Final Fantasy 14 all the time. Take buku amounts of screenshots like that too. It's just something I love to do.
So you do end up going to Earth at some point?
Well, kind of. Like, I went to Earth just because I wanted to. And when I clicked on it, it said London Monument. I do know of an Easter egg. I wasn't able to find it myself. But if you land somewhere where NASA was at in Florida, you can find a building, and you go in there and you find a note talking about the Mars rover that died a few years ago. And it gives you a little activity, and you can go to Mars and land and go and see the rover.
Oh, nice.
So that was a cool little thing.
I wonder if you can also see the moon landing site. I didn't try that yet.
I can tell you, yes.
Nice.
There is a mission to go to the moon. I just won't tell you what you have to do there.
Okay. Well, I did hear, and it also is like right at the beginning of the game when you turn it on, that they used a lot of telemetry from NASA to kind of make their planets accurate to the actual solar system.
Yeah, there's a little thing at the very beginning that credits NASA with, I think, for Mars and Moon data.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised to see the Sol in the Andromeda galaxies. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Agreed.
Was there anything else you really want to talk about? I know the boys, they've pretty much talked about what they've experienced.
I think we've covered pretty much everything. I think the only thing that we haven't really talked about is the shipbuilding. And it's there. It's okay. It's a little more challenging than I thought, because I thought I had this really awesome ship with all the compartments that I wanted. And yeah, my mass was too high. And they flat out told me this ship is going to be slow. So I ended up having to just compromise and kind of settle for a ship that I liked but didn't love. I was all excited that I could have captain's quarters, but you have to climb a ladder to get there, and that's a little glitchy because sometimes you go up there to use your bed and you end up like falling down the ladder. And that's one thing about the shipbuilding I didn't like. Like, you can't... First of all, why can't you do stairs? There's only like one bridge where you could do stairs, and it's too long for the ship that I was building. And why can't you place the ladders? The most you could do is you could place the cockpit, the docking ladder. You could kind of manipulate where that goes because you could place an actual dock, but you can't place the ladder that takes you up to the second floor. It's random. And so you have to like go in and you have to move stuff around and you have to hope that it's where you want it, or at least somewhere where it's not intrusive.
Yeah,
Personally, I never understood the gummy ships anyway.
Oh, you goddamn motherfucker. I was just about to make a gummy joke reference, but not that way. I honestly think that I got more out of building gummy ships than I did messing with the Starfield ship creator. My most of my experience with Starfield ship creator was I wanted a certain cockpit, so I had to shorten my ship. And then I had to learn, like, okay, so this reactor isn't good for these guns, so I have to put a better reactor on there for these guns. Yada 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 yada.
Got any reactors good enough for these guns?
No, those are A class, and I could never find anything that was A class.
A class is the base ship in this game. That was another weird thing.
No, I know, and that was so odd.
Yeah, A class is like the ship that you start with, and then eventually, as you get your piloting skill up, then you could pilot the bigger ships. I never wanted to level it. I'm perfectly content with the smaller, more intricate A-class ships because A, they're faster, more maneuverable, but B, when you actually go into the cabin, I kind of like the idea of it being a little bit close and uncomfortable. There's only so many beds, there's only so much room, like you just...
It's Millennium Falcon ship.
Kind of, because you have like this one hab area. At least this was in the ship that I eventually built called the Retrogue. So there's this one hab area that I built, and I made that kind of the longest part of the ship. And then I've got an infirmary and a research lab on each side. And then I've got my captain's quarters up top, and then a little armory in the back where the docking port is. So there's only one bed other than the captain's quarters bed. Unless you want to go in the infirmary and sleep in those beds. So I can hold up to 5 crew members. And I just really liked the idea of when we're flying in space. It is small and invasive, and there's only one bathroom and one bed, and you either need to alternate shifts on who's going to sleep in that bed, or you need to sleep in a chair, or you need to like manipulate or find other places to be comfortable because you're not going to be comfortable on this small ship. And I really liked that for some reason. I liked that space travel can be luxurious, but it can also be cramped and uncomfortable.
I completely am with you on that. I've always been a big fan of like jankety, barely held together with duct tape type of sci-fi. Like, I really liked the original Star Wars trilogy for that. I thought that aesthetic was great in Firefly, and I think the number one best place that ever comes up is in the movie Spaceballs, in which their ship is literally a Winnebago.
I was just about to say Spaceballs. Yes, sir, dude. That Winnebago's badass.
Yeah.
And that's how your starter ship feels. It feels like you're literally
awesome.
flying the Winnebago, the Eagle 5.
Oh, go ahead, Will.
I was just going to say, I'm a big fan of that whole space being kind of, you're a rugged bunch of plucky heroes. You're not the Empire. You're not a billionaire. You don't have access to all these space yacht things or high-tech military weapons. You're just making do.
That's the thing. Like, are you going to fly in space in, like, a big old stretch limo, or are you going to fly in space in a Chevy, you know?
One more thing I want to touch on, then we can get the ratings and stuff, and that is for a space game. Space was relatively unneeded in this game.
Space was more menuing than anything else. It seems
like you didn't really do much flying, other than when you flew into a place and you had to do some shooting, or you had to fly over to a station that was in space. But for the most part, again, this is another thing where Nate said it's like No Man's Sky did it better, where you can fly onto a planet and land and things like that. It's like, I understand why they didn't do it, but at the same time, space was just like a middleman for fast travel, and it just didn't feel great.
Yeah.
Do you remember when Final Fantasy X came out and people complained that it didn't have an overworld map? This is like if the only thing in the overworld was a map, and you just point and clicked on where you wanted to go and you would boom there.
And what's weird too is that there are no like maps. So like when you're in a city in New Atlantis, you got to learn your way around because there is no map you can pull up. I guarantee that'll be a mod.
Oh yeah, sure.
I did have a problem with that
even Morrowind
too.
had a damn mini map.
But I didn't mind the fast traveling through space because it got to a point where I didn't want to deal with all that. At first, the grav jumping was cool and the flying around was cool, and hearing the like bangs and bumps of your ship as you're moving around and hearing like all the little intricacies of it. That all was kind of cool to me. But then it gets to a point where you're just like, I need to go here, and I have something I want to do. I don't want to deal with all that. I just want to go there. And so those were the times where I just menued in. But that's
true, but I do think it's wacky that they prioritized walking around your spaceship over flying your spaceship to a location.
That's valid.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't disagree. All right, boys, let's get into some ratings because we still got questions and stuff to get through. So
I believe we had a 6 from Adam.
Yes. I'll go first for once. I really enjoyed this.
I feel like
I really did enjoy it for the most part. It did have its flaws, and I will openly admit that. I'm not going to say that this was a banger or even a Game of the Year candidate at the moment. It's low on that list, but I enjoyed my time with it. I think that this is a good step forward for storytelling for Bethesda. I do think that they really need to update their engine or, make a new one. I know it's going to be expensive, but y'all got that fucking Microsoft money now. Build a new engine. And I'm trying to look at this so this is their first IP in this, right? So in that same vein, try to compare it mentally to Morrowind or Fallout 3 in the sense that it's the start of something. So this is a good base. So maybe if they do it a second Starfield, it might be a little better. Third Starfield, better. They have room for improvement.
You just have to wait for 10 years for those sequels
so what you're
to come
saying
out.
is we should...
Yeah, we'll be dead by the time they're good.
That's almost what I was going to say. I was going to say, wait till they hand it off to someone else and they make Starfield New Vegas.
Yeah. Starfield knew it.
Starfield New Vega.
So there's opportunity for them to grow. But at the same time, this also is another run-of-the-mill Bethesda game. And I remember, I want to say I rated Skyrim pretty highly. And I want to say I rated Morrowind pretty fairly. I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys right now, whenever we play Oblivion, I'm not going to rate that game fairly.
No, that's fair. It has that nostalgia boom for you. If that's your favorite Beth game, then there's no reason it shouldn't be.
But Starfield, good, not great, 7.5.
I'm absolutely flabbergasted. I thought that there was a very good chance you were going to give it at least a 9.
So did I.
No,
I'm surprised.
Well, I'm trying to be more harsh with my ratings. I'm trying to, rein in giving out so many like perfect scores.
Well, let's pass it off to Mikhailov next, because I'm very curious, because he sounded like he had mostly good things to say about it, and we did suspect there was a chance he was the highest score on this one going in, so...
I think I pretty much said everything that I needed to say during the course of the podcast, so I'm not going to necessarily rehash it. I'm just going to...
It sounds like, to me, my attempt to summarize your feelings about it is the things it did do you really liked, and the things that were flaws didn't bother you, or you actually appreciated the streamlining in a lot of cases.
Yeah, I actually am enjoying my time with this game, but I also spent less time with it than Dalton, so I don't know what endgame is going to look like for me, but what I've experienced so far, I don't have a problem with, and I'm willing to go ahead and go on the other side of the spectrum and give this 9 chunks out of 10 Terabrews.
And I do want to put out there for clarity, I have 80 hours into Starfield.
Wow.
So I definitely put some time into it.
So that is a 7.5 of I'm starting to burn out on it, not just
Yes.
a 7 of
Yeah. Probably could have gotten an 8, but I'm going to give it a 7.5.
And I think I'll hit that plateau too, but by then I will have felt like I've gotten my money's worth out of the game and it's okay to move on.
Right. And money proposition is an interesting point too, because I got this game as my first Game Pass game, and I think the difference between paying $10 for it versus paying $70 for it is going to be a factor in my calculus as well. Nate, would you like to go?
Sure. I'll go. Yeah.
Okay.
So to me, this game, I don't have a whole lot positive to really say about it. I don't think it looked that good for what stress it put on your PC. I thought the game looked all right. Nothing really to write home about on that end. Sound design was great. I liked the voice acting. I thought they all did a really good job on that. But my biggest concerns with the game is I don't think that it has good combat system, space, or land, which I think really turned me off really fast. It's actually where I about stopped playing the game, was a little bit after I did the big battle in the moon space station. I was just like, man, this is typical Bethesda stuff, because I remember Fallout 3 did this to me a lot, where they put you in a battle situation and do not give you nearly enough ammo to deal with it, so you're scavenging around and running up to people, melee killing them, because you just don't have the ammo you need to actually complete the fight as it should be done. I just thought that was really frustrating as well. So the thing is, this game lost me pretty fast. Like, I think I put about 5 hours into it, and I was just like, man, there's so many more things I could be doing with my time that I would enjoy more. And I don't think it's a terrible game. Like, I think it's a good game in a lot of regards, but my biggest problem with it is I feel like this game has no personality. It's extremely hyper-realistic, except for it's in space, but like they go for the realism factor over giving it any sort of personality. This is why currently I've only played one game in the series from Bethesda, and I think it's my favorite Bethesda series, and that's Fallout, because they attempted to give that game some personality. I know I'm ragging on this game a lot. I do think it has a lot of positives too that just are overshadowed by the negatives to me. I do think this game is better than Morrowind, and I gave Morrowind a 6. I'm giving this a 6.5 souls out of 10 Andromedas.
All right. And two quick things. One, talking about this game shouldn't run the way it does. I opened up my task manager at one point while I was running around New Atlantis. And now granted, I did have YouTube running as well, so keep that in mind. But my CPU and my GPU both at the same time were at 100%.
That's ridiculous for this game.
Mine was bottlenecking like CPU, so I'm afraid that might be a problem with it too. I'm running a worse CPU than anyone else here, I believe.
So I had my experience with PC was on a handheld. So I wasn't running anything else in the background, and the handheld I was using is particularly beefy. It's using a Ryzen 6800U. So...
And you're using a Ryzen, too, which is, I've heard, is the one that actually tends to have the most problems with crashing.
I didn't get a single crash, but the game looked
good.
like butt on low settings, so I ended up kicking it up to medium because I knew the thing could handle it, and it looked better there.
But even on medium, it still looks muddy to me.
Issues.
The game looks muddy at all times to me.
It does not look muddy on Xbox.
I do want to say that for some reason, the higher graphics that you put this game on, it runs better. Like, Ultra runs smoother for me than medium does.
Could that also be the configuration settings you downloaded? Because you had custom INIs that you were running as a mod.
I don't believe so, only because I didn't try that until I read a Reddit post where people were saying that, like, no, for some reason, when you run the game on Ultra, it uses less CPU.
That is strange. It's certainly something I'd be willing to try. I guess I should give my rating. And
before you do, Willie...
There are, like... Oh, yeah, absolutely.
There is one setting that I just happened to fall upon because I felt the same way as Nate at the beginning. There is a setting in the video settings called Film Grain Effect, and it's set to 100.
Oh, I turned that shit off.
I turned it all the way down, and it
too.
completely changed how I view the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be worth to say. Like, I didn't think it added anything, and it did make things look muddier. But I still kind of agree that, especially on low settings in general, and I did try medium and low just to see if it changed anything. I tried turning on and off the upscaling, and because some people said upscaling causes the crashes, and other people are like, you have to have the upscaling or else it won't run on your computer. But okay, so I've got like 3 different angles at which I'm approaching this rating. Because angle one is saying, if you ship a game that runs, you should probably get at least a 2 out of 10. And this game didn't run on my computer, so by that standard, I'd have to give it a 1. Because here's the thing, I'm meeting minimum spec. I mean, I've got 16 gigs of RAM. It's not great, but it's there. I have an Intel Core GPU of some kind. I don't remember what it is. It's like a 4-core, but it isn't the Ryzen. I don't have the Ryzen, which is the one that's supposed to have the most crashing issues. I had an Intel. My graphics card is Dalton's hand-me-down. He knows about the specs better than me, but I think it's above minimum spec. And I was running it off the SSD, and I was still having crash issues. So if I wanted to rate it just on that, I would give this game the minimum score and just say dump it. But I'm not going to do that because I do have confidence this game is going to get patched or modded in some way that's going to make it playable within the next 3 months. So I want to rate it based on the merits of the game. And I have 2 different ways I want to approach that too. Nate's approach is basically saying, this is a flawed and mid game. And I think that is a valid approach. I think that is probably the one I would have come in this with if I wasn't so pissed off about the game's stats. Crashing and stability. So if anyone wants to say I'm being salty because I'm having a lot of crash issues, you are free to have that belief. I'm trying my best to keep neutral on this, but feel free to discount me as someone who's having a problem with crashes. But I think I can't even go as far as to say it's mid but flawed. To me, I thought anytime I was fighting on the ground, I thought, hey, this could be Fallout 3 or New Vegas. Anytime I was exploring on the ground, I thought, hey, this could be Morrowind. Anytime I was in space fighting, I was like, hey, this could be Free Space. And anytime I was in space exploring, I was like, hey, this could be No Man's Sky. I could spend 40 hours playing this game, or I could spend 10 hours playing each of those 4 games and have a really good time of at least one thing, instead of doing medium job at all of them. It's like it's going for jack of all trades, and to me it only hits about 7 of all trades.
That makes sense.
So in the end, I'm just like, it's not that it's a bad game. It certainly isn't a terrible game. To me, it feels just unnecessary. Like, I just think I would be having more pure fun doing something else. Like, I just am not going to get the experience I want from any of the individual elements compared to games that I've played that do it better in another way. So I think I'm just going to... I've been rolling numbers through my head all day, by the way. But I was sitting there at Asian Pie eating my egg roll thinking, I don't know, I might give it a 2, I might give it a 5, I don't know. I think I'm going to give it a 4.5, which is just enough to express disapproval without saying it's garbage. I think that if you're interested in this game, it has something for you, for sure. there's still, if you still feel that Bethesda magic, I'm sure you're going to love it. But playing this back to back with Morrowind really pointed out to me how much these games are almost exactly the goddamn same after like 20 something years, and it just really I just couldn't get it up for it.
It's not going to affect my score, but one thing I did want to mention, there's two things. One, this is now the lowest rated game on Steam database for Bethesda.
Not surprised.
Wow.
Like, people are very torn about it. The other...
Even worse than Fallout 76?
I don't know about that, but I think Fallout 76 is technically ZeniMax, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong. It might be Bethesda. Okay, but either way, it just... I guess it might have been like on launch or something. This is just the worst rated game on Steam database. But I will say, for its credit, I had one bug in my entire 80 hours. Only one. And that is phenomenal for a Bethesda game.
I'm super glad of that. Like, it sounds like the issue isn't a universal problem with stability. Some people are just having crashes, and some people are having performance issues. And I think that's the kind of thing that gets fixed in a patch. And for the people that are having rock solid performance, I'm really glad you're able to enjoy the game. Like, do not think I'm over here just being pure bitter. I would love to have had the game work, so I could have just played with it for about 3 hours and come to, I think, the same conclusion I did messing with it for like 10 hours trying to get it to work.
And the one bug that I did get was just a hitch in a quest, and all I had to do was close the game and reopen it, and the quest worked fine, which was...
You didn't even have to go to the console and resurrect an NPC or anything?
Which...
That is really good for
a
Beth
game. I was really
game.
impressed. Yeah, I really was.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, go.
No, I would argue that this game being on PC was very much an afterthought. Because running it mostly on Xbox and other times on PC, the best experience I had was on Xbox. And whenever I went to play it on PC, I felt like I had to do a little bit of juggling just to get it to look decent.
Well,
and then when I played it on cloud gaming, it was a very similar experience to playing on the Xbox Series S. So maybe having it come out on PC was literally just an afterthought.
For what it's worth, I didn't even consider the idea of playing the game cloud gaming, and I might consider picking up an Ultimate prescription at some point just to see what it does, because I have a pretty reliable internet connection currently, and it might be worth trying. Like, I'm not throwing this game completely in the bin just because I had a really rough first impression of it and didn't find anything to like about it yet. I'm just saying I didn't find anything to like about it, and I'm
uninstalling right after we were finished recording.
Oh wow!
I'm highly considering it.
I just wanted to say too that I think one of the reasons it runs better on console is because it's limited to 30 frames a second, right?
I think Mikhail's right too. I think they built it with the Xbox in mind. I think they built it for Xbox and Steam Deck before they did it.
And I agree with that. And that brings us back to our last episode. I think that all started with Morrowind, because Morrowind did really well on Xbox, enough that they released Oblivion on Xbox, and that's when it popped off.
I thought you were about to say that you thought Morrowind felt like it was made for consoles, and I was going to strenuously disagree with that.
No, but
you're saying that started the chain of them making games with the console build.
Yeah, because I think
so the consolification of the series.
It sold so well that when they made Oblivion, they were like, okay, we need to make this with consoles in mind. And that's why you get the UIs that you have now. That's why there is already a mod for Starfield that is a better UI for PC, because it is absolutely designed for controller, not mouse and keyboard.
And that makes perfect sense to me, because that's also one of the first things they did for Skyrim, because that's also a very console-oriented game.
Yeah. I just think Bethesda, I mean, if you think about it, console players are more vast these days. There are way more console players than there are PC players.
Also, you got to get it right on the console release. Like, if you screw up the console release, you're A, going to get that cyberpunk reputation, but B, the console players can't really easily mod the game as well as PC players. So PC people could fix their own problems. Console people don't have that luxury. So I understand wanting to make sure the console launch is good. And I think if I had an Xbox and played it, I probably would have liked that a lot more. So I'm just bummed because I don't think this game is as far advanced above previous Bethesda titles as to completely need to brick itself on my computer.
No, I completely agree with that. I agree with that. This game was good, but not what I wanted it to be. And I can leave it at that. Let's do some questions and then get into the beginning of Spookstober, my good sir.
Yeah,
No,
sorry,
I think that was all worth saying,
that one.
for sure. But yeah, let's get into the questions from the community. Our first one comes in from our eavesdropper, Master Loot. What were your favorite morning cartoons?
Oh, can I? Nate, we have a very similar one.
Yeah,
so
I'm going to start with
one
that I don't think you're thinking of this one immediately, but I love this show. I still love it. I think it was a fantastic show. Darkwing Duck.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
Darkwing Duck. Like, all of those Disney cartoons from back in the day that starred ducks. Chef's Kiss, fantastic. And Darkwing Duck was at the top of the pile for me. Yeah, I think so.
You love DuckTales?
Woo! It was Ninja Turtles and Mario for me.
Ooh, yeah, classics. Absolute child of the 80s stuff.
And if you got through the horrible school week and made it to Friday, you got blessed with Legend of Zelda on Fridays.
One time when I was a kid, I was so convinced it was Friday because they aired the Zelda episode on a Thursday that week. And I was like, oh, it's Friday. I get to go to my grandma's house today. And I didn't, and I was upset.
What about you, Will?
Well, when you said morning cartoons, that made me want to get real specific. So we had a lot of like syndicated type TV blocks too. And there was one time before I went to school for like a couple of years where there was a block back to back of Sailor Moon and Samurai Pizza Cats. And that little anime morning just really got
Samurai
me up
Pizza
for the
Cats
day.
so much.
Yeah, you just brought back a core memory.
Yes.
It depends on the day for me. So like if it was a weekend, I was usually catching, Spider-Man, the animated series, or even like Nickelodeon, like Rugrats, things like that. Inevitably, before school, every morning, the one thing that I would throw on the TV while I was getting dressed was Cartoon Network, which would show old school cartoons. This was like before Boomerang was a thing. And it was always Tom and Jerry. So I just have this core memory of like, time to make the donuts. That's Tom and Jerry time. Magilla Gorilla, those type of cartoons.
Yeah, they had a lot of Hanna-Barbera.
Hanna-Barbera stuff was so fun.
Yeah,
it's good.
Saw a lot of wacky races on that Cartoon Network back in the day.
You want to feel old? Last time I was looking through Boomerang, it was like Powerpuff Girls was on there.
I think that's justified. It's been like 25 years now.
Don't remind me.
Yeah. Our generation's still like, wait, they're playing Nirvana on classic rock? Like, it's 30 years old, brother.
All right. Our next one comes in from Kana. What is your favorite candy?
Oh, can I go first?
Go for it, brother.
I famously don't eat a lot of sweet food. I have a childhood sweet spot for Twizzlers and a lifetime sweet spot for Reese's. Reese's Cups especially, but the pieces are also tasty.
I'm going to break mine into two categories, and I think I have a tie for both, unfortunately. Fruity candy. I'm a sucker for sour fruity candy, so it's a tie between Sour Mike and Ike's and Sour Patch Kids. Love them. With a shout out to Sour Skittles. When it comes to chocolate, oh boy, Butterfinger. But closely followed by peanut M&Ms.
Nice.
Oh,
love them.
Tasteful. Good options. I agree. Also, we both went with a peanut chocolate candy and a fruity candy.
Peanut butter cups. Anything Reese's with peanut butter in it, I'm down.
Nice. I'm going to throw it out to... I'm going to do a fruity one and a chocolate one as well. Fruity, Lifesavers.
Gummy or hard? Or both?
I love letting them sit in my mouth and melt. It's just a great feeling. And then for chocolate, I want a Milky Way.
All right.
Milky Ways are fantastic.
You know what I used to love, and I haven't had one in forever, was a Zero bar. I love this, but every now and then I would swallow with a Zero bar, and it would like make the back of my throat hurt a little bit. I don't know how to explain it. Like it burned a little, and it always threw me off a little bit. Like Snickers does it to me too. So I'm just like, I wonder if I'm mildly allergic to this and don't know.
And then next question comes in from some goofball named TeamRetrogue. And I don't have an answer for this question because I can't think of any. What is your favorite candy based on your favorite morning cartoon? Let's start off with Mikhailov on that one.
I just wanted an excuse to bring up Nintendo cereal.
Yeah. The Nintendo cereal
It was
system.
Mario on one side, Zelda on the other, If you had the Mario cereal, you got marshmallow mushrooms and stars and question blocks. If you had the Zelda cereal, you got shields and swords and boomerangs and bombs.
And broken pieces of clay pots.
Broken pieces of clay. Yeah, that was the marshmallows
the wheat
usually mixed
pieces.
in with an actual cereal. That was the cereals, the broken clay pots. Consequently, this was before broken clay pots were a thing.
Oh yeah, that's a Link to the Past,
Yeah.
thing, isn't it?
No, the original Zelda, you burned bushes.
That's true.
I don't have an answer for this question. I guess I will say, actually, hold on. It's not really candy, but let's just go with the Sonic the Hedgehog ice cream that you'd get from the ice cream truck.
I was thinking that with
works
the Ninja
too.
Turtles.
Mine's not really
That
a
also
candy
applies
either.
to Super Mario.
Yeah. But I always thought the Ninja Turtles ones always turned out really wall-eyed and ridiculous looking. Like the little bubblegum eye pieces were never where
Same
they
with
were supposed
Sonic
to go.
ones.
And SpongeBob. So mine's not a candy either. And I don't recommend that you eat a bunch of them, but they are delicious. And that is the Flintstone vitamins.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude.
Dude, the
good
best
answer,
vitamins
actually.
ever. I would eat those as a fucking
Yeah,
adult.
dude. I'm with you.
Except I would chew up a whole handful now and probably shit my brains out
See,
later.
like I'm a little kid. Whenever I take my vitamins as an adult, I still get the gummies because, like,
Yeah, dude, they're just better.
all right. Our next one comes in from Jeff, and it's a blue pill, red pill question. If you take the blue pill, you can bring one Pokemon to real life. If you take the red pill, you can enter the Pokemon world as a trainer.
Red
Yeah.
pill.
Okay, that's
What?
pretty easy for me.
What, Mikhailov? Oh yeah, red pill.
Mikhailov said red pill.
See, I'm torn. Oh, go ahead, Will.
I could just have my normal life, but have a Pikachu. He would be internet famous. I would be rich.
Okay,
I
but here's the
wouldn't have
thing.
to do anything.
If I get to enter the world, the Pokemon world as a trainer, I've played enough of those games. All the trainers there are fucking idiots. If I have 3 different types of
That's true, they're
Pokemon,
garbage.
I can sweep every gym that they have before me. It's just like I have a fire Pokemon, a grass Pokemon, and a water Pokemon. I just win Pokemon. I become
gym
super
leaders would be
famous
like,
and
"So
rich in the
what's-"
Pokemon world. Easy.
Yeah, but then like the only TV's always showing Stand By Me and nothing else. And
Man, this is actually kind of hard for me because it's like I would love to take the red pill and go in and just like live a life in the Pokemon world, no stress, don't got to worry about shit. Like you don't ever hear anybody in those games being depressed or anxiety, or unless you're playing a ROM hack.
everyone's super happy in Lavender Town.
Yeah, we don't go to Lavender Town. We don't talk about Lavender Town. But at the same time, dude, like Willie said, like having a Pikachu, but on mine's like I'm fucking having a Snorlax that I can just chill with. This is the big cuddly fucker. He just wants to sleep all the time. That would be sweet. But I think I'd probably
that
go red
grocery
pill.
bill, though.
Yeah, I'd probably go. Although blue pill bring in a Jinx. You've seen them lips.
No.
Oh no.
He
Going
went
red pill.
there.
Well,
Going red pill.
All right. Yeah.
I'm
Moving
the only
on.
dissenter. Weird.
From Adam, did anyone find the Halo Reach universe? No.
No.
So I didn't find it, but I know where
Cool.
it's at.
All right. The next one is from Kana. What's your favorite horror video game?
Fuck.
I've given my real
Give
answer
whatever
before,
answer
so can I
you
give a
want.
fake answer? I've never played it before, but I bet
Oh,
it'll be
yeah.
Luigi's
I can
Mansion
see
3.
that.
What's?
My actual answer.
I was gonna say, what's your
What?
real answer? I don't remember.
Yeah.
Eternal Darkness, Sanity's
That's
Requiem.
right. Okay.
I think for me, I'm going to give it to a game that we've all played a lot of, and I think it is my favorite horror game, and that's Phasmophobia.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. That is definitely the game that I've got the most genuine scares and spooks out of while still having a great time.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Dude, go ahead, dude, because I'm having a hard time with this.
I also thought about picking Dusk because I really did find that second episode especially just got this building sense of creeping dread that even though it's not billed as a horror game first and foremost, that was scary as shit to me. Speaking of Dusk, the HD
Sweet.
pack coming out in December.
Mikhailov, Dalton, you have answers?
I mean, if there's a game based on Nate's
Whoa.
face, then I'd be terribly afraid.
Whoa, rude.
Sorry. I had to get you back for some of the digs.
Zing!
The honest answer, though, Maniac Mansion for the
Nice.
NES.
Oh, good call. Specifically the NES version.
Yeah,
too, huh?
that specific version.
Motherfucker, dude. I was hoping y'all would take longer.
Sucks to suck.
Sorry, I don't really play horror
issue.
games.
I really enjoy Phasmophobia. So that's a good choice. I'm not going to pick it because you also picked it, but like that's a very, very good choice.
Maybe I shouldn't have picked 3 games.
There have been horror games that I've played over the years that I really did enjoy, but I don't want to give it to like PT because that wasn't really a game, even though it scared the shit out of me. The first Outlast is very good, but not my favorite.
I feel like PT would be fully
I
justifiable.
think I'm thinking about that for one of the freebie games because somebody remade it in Unity or Unreal or something like that. If I can find the working version of it, but dude, I mean, we did a show about it. I think I have to go with it. I liked it enough that in the 2 weeks that we had to beat it, I beat it and its sequel. So I'm gonna say Resident Evil 2
feel
remake.
that, dude. That's my second choice for sure.
It was so fucking good, dude.
I actually
It was
thought you were gonna
close. Like
pick
that's
that
my
name.
second choice for sure because it's a fantastic video game.
It was so
Yeah,
fucking
man.
good.
I love how none of you picked Outlast 2.
Why would we?
That's because I feel a huge sense of regret for giving that game
Girl,
as high
same.
score as I did in the first place.
I don't
Like,
remember what we rated it.
I called it. I think we all gave it about a 7 and said it's not for me instead of this game is
Yeah, I
disgusting
would
and
go
bad.
back.
It's a 3.
Why did this game have a live birth in it?
I would change my score for that real fast. All right. Kana, if you were to get a video game related tattoo, what would you get?
Some of the easiest cliches are cliches because they're such good ideas, but you could never go wrong with a Triforce. That's not my actual answer, but you could never go wrong with a Triforce.
Yeah, that's
I
a
would
good
like
choice for
Captain
you.
Demon.
I've actually thought about getting this tattoo a lot, and this is actually the tattoo I would get if I got a tattoo. I would get a dry bones on my arm, like a dry bones from Mario, just because that represents a lot of facets about me, and I love it.
Because it's a turtle and it's spooky and it's Mario and that's actually that's
Because
really clever.
you're dead inside, and when you get knocked down, you just pull yourself
When
back
I get
together.
knocked down, I get back up again.
You're
You're never
never
going
gonna
to keep me down.
You hear that, Danny boy?
Oh, Danny boy. Do you
Oh,
guys
man.
remember the 9/11 version of that song when we invaded Iraq?
What?
And they're like, they parodied the song, and it would be like, let's hunt him down and shoot him in the head. Let's beat the crap out of Saddam.
No.
Back when
No,
Saddam Hussein was relevant.
Oh.
I do not
No,
remember.
not at all.
Oh, that was all over Newgrounds.
Oh, okay,
I did
that
like
makes
Newgrounds
sense.
back in the day, but I mostly went there for games.
Got it.
Flash games.
There was
Um,
another website called You're the Man
Yeah.
Now, Dog, that I just remember very
Yeah,
fondly.
dude.
I liked E-Bombs. E-Bombs World.
E-Bomb stole all their stuff from more talented creators.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Support the original artists.
So I have a couple choices for this. I would really like to get the Oblivion symbol.
Hey. Yeah.
I also think the Dark Brotherhood handprint is cool.
That's a good one.
Mm.
I also the design of the lion that Squall has, the lion heart.
Oh,
Griever.
Griever.
Yeah, thank you. I couldn't remember his name. Yeah, I would like to get that. That would be super cool.
That's sick.
Honestly, I would love a straight up like characterization of the OG Lara Croft, like with triangle titties and all, like on my calf. I think that would be fun. So like all my tattoos I have on me right now are musical related, and they're on the right side of my body. So I've always wanted to do like music and stuff on the right side and do video game related stuff on the left side. I just don't have the money for it, but hopefully soon
Yeah.
I will. Full-time job. Yeah.
Oh, full-time.
Full-time
Nice.
with 7 to 8 hours overtime, time and a half every week if I want it.
Nathan's now the least employed person on here again.
Can I just point out one thing that cracked me up on JRPG Report when we recorded it last time?
That I accidentally said hell yeah.
No, you were drinking a Pepsi.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's what I've been drinking all night here too. Yeah, I know. Got to switch brand loyalty.
Oh, the irony. No, keep doing it, man. Just don't do it while you're driving, because apparently somebody got fired for that.
Yeah. I like Coke Zero, too. So when I'm at work, I'll just drink Coke Zero if I need some caffeine.
Got it. Oh, so it's my turn, isn't it?
Yeah, fucker.
Yep.
Oh, sorry. I thought about it for a long time, and I probably will never, ever get a tattoo, ever, just because I have a very low pain threshold. But if I did, it would be the Lassie mark on my left arm.
The what?
The what?
Sorry, the Lassie mark from Final Fantasy 13. That little mark that they get, that little tattoo that they get that keeps growing as they become closer to being, like, corrupted. And they eventually do break it. But that tattoo is just prominent, like, everywhere as you go throughout the game. And as you go throughout the game, you just see it getting bigger and bigger and more of a visual indication that they are just getting ready to turn. And I've always had a weird attachment to that specific brand. So it's subtle enough that people would just think that it was some kind of design choice. But if you're a Final Fantasy fan, you'd be like, I know what you're doing there.
Nice. I like it.
One last one I think would be fun, but I don't shave my head enough for it. Even though I guess the way that I have my hair now with the undercut, it would work. The Agent 47 barcode on the back.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think that would be fun. That would be a painful
love that,
fucking spot
actually.
to get it, though. Oh, boy.
Next one.
But instead of the Agent 47 actual barcode, have it be like the UPC with some Cheetos.
Yeah, or like a
something.
bag of ice
Flaming hot
or some
Cheetos.
shit.
No, it's the fountain drink at your whatever your favorite gas station is. So if someone's trying to ring, there's a no, just scan me. It's cool.
There you go, 75 cents.
Nice. All right. Next one from Dane. Did you shell out the $5 for the DLSS mod?
Okay, so I know this is directed directly at me. No, I don't think that people should be able to charge for their mods because you're modding like that. That's fucked up. In fact, to the point that Larian Studios came out and said, hey, by the way, just a reminder, folks, you are not allowed to charge for any fan-made content for Baldur's Gate 3. No matter what you create, you can create an entire game. You can't charge for it if it's a mod for our game. And the dude who makes the DLSS mod, I looked into that mod because I was like, oh, dude, if I can find a way to get DLSS 3 to work, sweet. His DLSS 2 mod is free, but you have to pay for his Patreon to get to the DLSS 3 mod. And to me, that's just preying on people who have NVIDIA cards because DLSS is specifically for NVIDIA, whereas the native one in there is for AMD. So it just, I don't know. I think that's kind of shitty.
I would agree with that.
I respect the hustle at the same time, but you know, you didn't create, I don't know. It's not your IP that you're creating for.
Right, it's a derivative work, and the legal protections for that are scant at best. So, like, you have to know you're on thin ice, like, copyright-wise. And while I don't agree with all aspects of copyright law, I'm like, I mean, you know, right? You have to know.
If you want support for being able to develop these mods, or if you're trying to keep the lights on, I don't see the problem with having a Patreon, but don't lock your stuff
Content
behind it. Don't lock your content behind it. If you want to have a subscription service, then why don't you just release it early to the patrons and then release it to everyone later? So you'd get an early access type of thing. That would be a much less shady way than what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, if you wanted to make it look completely clean, here's what you would do. Have a beta stream that you only put on your Patreon and tell everyone, you know, release candidates come out at least 3 days after that beta is confirmed. That way they know they're getting the current version 3 days in advance, but it's still not just selling the thing. You got something people can get for free.
Or just have a coffee up. Just buy them buy me a coffee thing.
Yeah. Yeah, chuck $5 at them and get the, you know, like that's different than like a monthly subscription to have access to be able to use it. I don't know. It's just, but so one other thing that's on this subject is that like podcasters, it's one thing that I hold against Kevin Smith these days. I love the dude to death. One of my favorite things was going back and listening to old Smodcasts, listening to old tell them Steve Dave's still around, but like old Smodcasts, old Edumacation, old Hollywood Babylons, Jay and Silent Bob Get Old. Now they only have like the most recent 10 to 14 episodes, and all of the backlog is behind a paywall. You have to go to like that'skevinsmith.com and sign up for this thing if you want to listen to all this stuff. And I'm like, man, that was free for fucking years. And you just one day realized, oh, wait, I can monetize this. I get it. But at the same time, it's like, bro, that's not cool.
Right.
I don't know.
Especially it seems weird to be selling something that you were just giving away a month ago, but now it's 10 episodes old, so it's charged now.
Yeah. Very strange, dude. Very strange.
Right. Next question, also from Dane. Fuck, marry, kill. Fallout, Elder Scrolls, Starfield.
I'll go first because I have a pretty easy answer for this. I would marry Elder Scrolls, I would fuck Starfield, and I would kill Fallout.
I'm going to marry Elder Scrolls, fuck Fallout, kill Starfield.
I think that's where the rest of us
Wow.
are going.
I'm going to fuck Elder Scrolls, marry Fallout, and kill Starfield.
Even with only playing maybe the third or fourth best game in the series, you're already sight unseen convinced that Fallout New Vegas is going
I
to be way more
1000% think that the Fallout
Fair
series
enough.
is way more for me than any of the others that Bethesda makes.
Cool.
If I have one recommendation to you, Nate, when we get to New Vegas, there is a perk that you can take called Wacky Wasteland.
Hey, yes, there is.
And you want to talk about a game where you said that this game took itself kind of too seriously. There wasn't enough like character. Bro, take Wacky Wasteland. And it'll become the weird 1950s cheesy sci-fi game you've always wanted.
It even includes a bunch of weird internet references. There's a Johnny Five Aces joke in there.
All right. So the next one, also from Dane. What's your favorite animal to see at the zoo? Just got back from a family zoo trip where giraffes were the winner for his 6-year-old.
Hey, Nate, what's your Street Fighter maiden's favorite word? Tiger! Tiger!
Nice.
Tiger!
Tiger Man.
I thought you were going to go, Pelucan!
Shut up. Get out.
How could you say get out when you just made an equally lame joke?
Because I made that one.
This is easy for
Shut
this
up,
is
you're
easy
not
for
my
me. I love penguins.
Yeah.
I
that's a good
love
answer,
penguins.
too.
Smile and wave, boys. Smile and wave.
See, I'm more of a tigers and lions type of person. But red pandas? If there are red pandas, I will stare at those red pandas for as long as I can.
They're adorable.
I also want to give an honorable mention to everything that lives in an indoor place, like the nocturnal bat exhibit and the poison dart frog that's way too scary to let him outside.
Yeah. No, we keep him behind 3 feet of glass.
Yeah. My favorites are always like to go to the herpetarium and see like all the reptiles and things. And I just remember a couple zoos that I've been to have had the Aldabra giant tortoises, and I just love seeing the giant turtles, man. They're the best.
One shout out for things that you see here in Florida. I really like going to the alligator exhibits and seeing how big some of those fuckers get. I don't know how it is nowadays in Jacksonville, but back in the day at Jacksonville Zoo, they had some seriously big alligators, like massive. But none of them compare to that fucker that's at the alligator farm in St. Augustine. It is the biggest goddamn thing I've ever seen in my life. And then if you think that's big, go into the little building where they've got the memorial to the one they used to have that is like the size of an SUV. And I'm like, what the actual fuck? That thing's real? That's a dinosaur.
I've actually been to where Dalton's talking about and seen these gators. They're amazing. I have a picture of me holding a baby alligator at that place.
Yeah, that place is cool. That place has a fucking a rope course above all the enclosures. And I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Megan wanted to do it. I was like, honey, I will cheer you on from the
that
ground.
place is awesome.
No thanks.
You know what Wipeout needed? An alligator pit.
Takeshi's castle.
Takeshi's last castle.
You know what those
The
alligators...
mostest extreme elimination challenge.
You know what those alligators need? Laser beams on their heads.
I was gonna say it.
I was going to make that joke!
That's what I was thinking too.
All right. So the next question comes from Master Loot. What would you like Starfield to adopt from No Man's Sky? Everything
Ooh.
space related. Anything that takes place in space, I would love to see it be more like that in Starfield.
Yeah. So to compare, I liked what Mikhailov was talking where it's like in Starfield, when you get in your ship, you can actually explore in your ship and stuff. That's cool. You don't get that until you get a freighter in No Man's Sky, and then you can do that. But I would say I would just like the planetary transition. Make it more fun to be in space. Yeah.
You don't want nothing? Okay,
I don't want
that's
nothing.
fair. And then Jeff, vice versa. What would you like for... Oh,
Hold on.
Oh,
I don't
sorry.
think Nick answered that one.
The only thing I was going to say is I think I would like to pilot the ship into space as opposed to having that be a cutscene.
Yeah.
But I think that's really the only thing. I think everything else I was pretty okay with.
Yeah, I would like to be able to land on planets in the same way as you do in No Man's
Yeah.
Sky, actually. That's my real
And then
answer.
Jeff's vice versa. What would you like No Man's Sky to adopt from Starfield?
I'm going to snipe Mikhailov on this because I think this is what he was thinking anyway. I would absolutely love it if the faction quests had these full-fledged plots instead of just kind of, doing random missions for the cartographers.
Yeah, I think
Guild
that's
or
fair.
whatever.
I was going to say nothing, but I think that's fair.
I would like to see No Man's Sky take honestly, if No Man's Sky had these two things, in my opinion, it would be a perfect game, and it would be what Willie just said, which is like, more fleshed out quests, companions that seem, actual companions. But I would also like to see civilizations. Like, give me full-fledged cities, even if they're procedurally generated so they somewhat look the same on different planets. Like, let me land on a planet and there be a big sprawling metropolis full of Gek and Korvax. And hey, even if they don't say anything, like when you go to talk to them and they're just like, brah, 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 brah. That's fine. But just make it seem more livable. Even if it's on every 100th planet you land on, you might come across a civilization, but there needs to be that chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find it hard to believe that of all the planets that you explore, that there are none that have cities and civilization and landmarks and all that. Like, I know that's hard to program into a video game, but even if it's just like a central hub or maybe 2 or 3 central hubs, just give us something.
No, hold on now. There is a central hub now. I have to give it that. Since you've probably stopped playing, there is a central hub that you can go to where you can find other people, and there's a bunch of NPCs and stuff in there.
But it's not a planet, right?
No, it's like an interdimensional space station.
Yeah, this doesn't count. I want to see actual developed planets that people live on.
It is weird that they're only little towns and military installations. You never even run to a city the size of Chattanooga.
That's fair.
Anywhere in the galaxy.
Yeah, it just takes the immersion away from me.
Right. Next question is from Master Loot. Have you made your own alcoholic beverages? If yes, how did it go? If no, why? No, I don't really drink.
Does
I would.
drinking an IPA and peeing out Bud Light count?
Okay, hipster.
So I had a buddy of mine. So my answer is no. And the why is because I had a buddy of mine who made a moonshine rig. And I watched how much effort he put in compared to how much moonshine he got out of it. No thanks.
I could see myself doing one of those beginner homebrew things, like just making a little Irish stout or something, but it does seem like it'd be a bit of a pain to do it on the reg.
On the other hand, I have a friend named Dallas, and I want to give him a shout out. He does home brewing beer, and I think he even had a partner with Gainesville Brewery at one point. I don't know if he still does. But he just won first place in 2 different competitions in Gainesville for German beer. So he's super into German stuff, and he apparently makes a really good dark beer, and I want to try that motherfucker.
Yeah, hit me up with that Dunkelweiss if you got a chance.
Right. Next one's from Master Loot. Question specifically for Willie. What's your progress with your kettlebell training? When are we going to see Will Swallow progress pics?
So, no progress, because for the last 3 weeks I've been on again, off again sick, so I haven't really been keeping with the program. I've occasionally picked up the bell to give it a few swings to make sure my form is intact, but I haven't been doing any real workouts with it. I need to get back on that, because I feel like I was feeling a lot better when I was doing it.
Nice.
So I'll start on it again this
Next, go.
And if I have progress picks, I'll send them. I don't really take before picks, but if I end up with like some big old shoulders, I'm absolutely gonna
Get them Goldberg shoulders.
Yeah.
All right, next question's for me. How's your car? Are you satisfied with it? Yes, I love it so much. I really, really do. I got a little sad yesterday because I put the 10,000th mile on it, and I was like, no, it's in 5 digits now instead of 4. Which is something I've never seen before on a car, so it was like really cool to have it when it's this young. Like, yeah, I love the thing, man. I'm very satisfied with it. And like my favorite thing is just the Apple CarPlay too. Because like I've never had a car anywhere near this new, and so I can just plug my phone into my thing, and then it just does everything like GPS, music, podcasts, whatever I want right on my dashboard. It's like fantastic. And the next question is from Dalton. It's for Dalton. Have you eaten any of your local swamp animals, alligators, snakes, frogs, etc.? Any good recipes? I think I did.
Etc. I was about to say that too.
We've been
Yeah.
recording for almost 3 hours. Cut me some slack.
Yeah, this is a long one.
Yeah, I didn't expect
So,
that.
yes, I have had frog legs. They're all right. I have had alligator. Let me tell you, if you want a good recipe, buy alligator tail. Cut it into bite-sized pieces. Bread it, fry it, dip it in an aioli. You can't go wrong, dude. Hit it with a little lemon. Dude, gator tail. You cannot. Dude, gator tail is so fucking good. If you come to Florida, let me preface this. If you come to Florida and you go to a restaurant that serves gator tail and they seem like their food is going to be good, try the gator tail. Because I've had bad gator tail too. Because it can be chewy and rubbery and not great. But like good gator tail, bro, chef's kiss. Fucking delicious.
Is that what all those college sports people were talking about when they were talking about tailgater?
Yes.
Dalton looked like he was just trying not to choke on whatever he just put in his mouth.
Man.
As per usual when I put things in my mouth.
But, yeah, man, like, my wife, I can't eat alligator because my wife refuses to because she loves them too much. So I'm not, my wife.
You're who?
My wife. So, so I'm not allowed to.
I'm glad that you did that. I do that to him all the time.
I'm not allowed to eat alligator. I think I'd like it. But I have had frog legs before, and they're pretty good. Like, I don't have a problem with frog legs.
The thing about frog legs is the generic cliche is that they taste just like chicken, but they really are just like little tiny fried chicken legs.
Man, as much as I hate to say that, dude, gator tail is like a different textured chicken
Here's
nugget.
the thing. Birds are reptiles, so it makes sense that reptiles taste like bird.
And I mean, it's not like tasting like chicken is that unusual, because I kind of think
duck
tastes
is greasy,
like
chicken for sure. I like duck, though.
I love duck.
Guido
duck
chicken.
I mean, duck is a once in a rare time thing for me, but it's cool.
Yeah.
Like, it always feels extravagant to have duck.
Yeah.
I like to keep it special.
Next questions from Master Loot is for Team Retrogue. What do you do with your handhelds after reviews? Describe your perfect handheld.
So what I do with most of them is I end up having to sell them to buy more handhelds. Because I'm not really sponsored yet. I'm trying to like get some companies to reach out and, you know, offer to give me some review units. And there are other YouTubers that are where I'm at now, maybe a little bit further ahead, that are getting review units. So I'm at that point now where I'm starting to like hassle. Maybe hassle's the wrong word, but I am starting to be a little bit more aggressive with reaching out to companies to try and get them to be on board with me reviewing their content. But until I get there, unfortunately, in order to stay relevant, most of the handhelds that I do review, I do end up selling, and then I end up pooling that money into getting other ones. Because I'm at a point now where my channel was self-funded over overtime at work and summer school and all that, and that well is kind of dried up now. So I can't keep going the way I am, just continuously buying stuff. Like that money that I put into the channel probably should have gone into a savings account, but here we are. I've made poor choices. So the ones that I keep are the ones that I consistently use, like the Steam Deck or the ROG Ally. I played Starfield on the 1X player, but I don't think I'm going to keep that one, even though the screen is freaking massive. It's like an 8.4 inch screen. It's got a great battery. But I end up going back to the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally, so I can't really justify keeping that when I could probably use that money to pick up another handheld down the line. And then there's a couple that I keep for giveaways that you guys never seem to win.
I'm trying so hard to win one.
I know, and I'm trying so hard to let you win one, but never happens.
Hey, that just proves, man, that you are legit in what you do.
Yeah.
That you're not just...
That you're spinning a wheel and not just picking someone.
Oh, yeah, no, because I was very tempted to either pick you or Dalton, and I'm like, you know what? No, I'm going to click this button once, and it is who it is. And of the 3 giveaways I've done, only one of them was somebody who was a complete stranger. The other was somebody that I know in real life, and the most recent one, the Retroid Pocket 3, that actually went to one of the moderators of the Retro Handhelds community, and I've bought and sold stuff from him before. We actually talk all the time, so at least I know in 2 cases they went to decent homes.
That's good.
As far as what my perfect handheld would be, I think if you took the flexibility of the Steam Deck and you took the ergonomics and the lightness of the ROG Ally as well as the 120 hertz refresh rate screen and you mashed them together, you'd have a perfect handheld. Because there are times where I need the trackpads in the Steam Deck, and it's much more efficient with its battery management because of the Linux software and because Valve is actively supporting making that system as good as it can possibly be and having it continue to be relevant. But the ROG Ally it's comfortable, and it has enough raw power that games just look so good on it. Especially I don't even use the full 120 hertz refresh rate of the screen, but playing stuff at 60 hertz is just so smooth on it that it's just a dream to play anything on it.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
I like the idea that it's comfortable because I feel like the ergonomics.
Yeah, I really want to get. I've thought about getting these a few times because I love playing my Switch in handheld mode, but the ergonomics are awful. Like those. I'm thinking about getting those hoary.
I have Split Pad Pros I don't use anymore. I'll send them to you.
Okay. I'll take those.
Yeah, because I got that Nitro deck thing I showed you earlier, so I'm rocking that for a while.
I would not say no to that.
So. Yeah, hit me up in DMs. I think I even have a case that they'll fit in.
The Switch...
Call it.
Because the Switch is a fine system for 90% of things, but man, using that D-pad for emulated games and stuff feels awful.
Yeah, for sure.
You're talking about on the Switch?
Yeah, it's not even a D-pad, it's 4 buttons.
No, I actually modded a D-pad into a Joy-Con. I reshelled it.
Cool.
Just because I was sick of it. I couldn't do it anymore.
So, our next 2 questions are for somebody that's not here anymore, but I'll read them and he can answer them in the Discord. These are for Adam. This is from Master Loot. How did it go with your new sleep plan, the 3 to 4 hours of sleep per day thingy? That's from Master Loot. This next one's from Jeff for you, Adam. What is your favorite meat to barbecue?
He only gets 4 hours of sleep.
I don't know, man. We'll find out in the Discord later this week, hopefully. After Adam listens to the rest of the show, assuming he does. And then our last question is from Jeff, and I think it's a winner for this episode. What is your favorite ship in science fiction, game, movie, show, whatever? I'll let you boys go first. I have my answer.
Is Final Fantasy science fiction?
Are you going to give it to the
I'm going to give it to the Ragnarok, if so. I love that ship.
It is a very... I mean, you said Final Fantasy. That's the first
one. Which Final Fantasy is this?
That's the ship from 8
I think that
you get
counts.
after the Lunar Cry.
I do.
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I need to play 8 again.
You catch Renoa in space.
And then you guys land on the Ragnarok, and you have to go and fight those weird monsters that you have to color coordinate, kill them, or they keep respawning.
I don't remember
play
this.
8 again.
Oh, you should play replay 8,
game
dog.
was really surreal.
I'm going to have to after this. Jeez.
Honestly, the entire Lunar Cry subplot might have been
fair.
my favorite part about Final Fantasy.
Really?
I thought it had a lot of really
Again,
neat
I really
plots.
think that it would benefit from the remake treatment and just
remaster,
flesh it out
yeah.
more. Yeah. Who's next?
I guess I'll go next. I think it's a toss-up between 2 ships. But the first one is a luxury ship, and the second one is, the janky, space is not comfortable ship. So the luxury ship, which is funny because it's technically a military vessel, is the original Starship Enterprise. NCC
I'm
1701.
Yeah.
A 1 for 1.
Yeah. And the
1701
janky
classic.
space is hard one is the Serenity from Firefly.
I was going to guess Slave
I'm
1,
1 for 2.
actually.
What did you think the other one was?
I thought it was going to be
I'm
a Star
like a
Wars
leaf
ship.
on the wind.
Oh.
That-
If I were to pick a Star Wars ship, it would probably be Mando's. The one that he got, early. The one that he had early. I forget the name of it. Razor Crest, I think.
I don't know.
I don't like the Star Wars ships. They're too much like cars.
I kind of like that about him, especially you have this giant ape who's just a mechanic that growls at things. He's the best.
The
Thanks for
reason
shooting.
that ship is falling apart. I mean, I understand the Falcon is iconic, but I don't know. It's not on my top 10 of
That's fair.
ships.
Yeah, I get it.
All right, Nate,
Willie
I think
hasn't
it just
given
leaves
his.
you. Oh, you and
No,
Dawn.
Willie,
And me. I haven't gone yet.
Uh,
I was just confident.
That's where
that
I
was
feel
gonna
on
name
mine. If you
so I
are
was
about to
doing
say the
play
same one,
slash
I'm
on-
saying I'm going to punch you through this camera.
Try punching me. The Heart of Gold.
That's actually a darn good one.
The heart. Wow.
He actually had it pulled up on his computer and
Wow.
everything.
Don't forget to bring a
towel.
I have to point out, Nate just said "fuck" so loud that we didn't hear it through Discord.
Yeah. It peaked his mic and it
I
canceled.
can't
it.
wait to hear that in the recording.
I'm so sad. I am so sad right now.
What shit? I don't know what the hell it is. I'm sorry.
You guys aren't brothers
So
or
the Heart of
anything.
Gold is the Heart of Gold is the ship that Zaphod Beeblebrox has stolen at the beginning of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The idea is it runs on something called the Infinite Improbability Drive, which basically is an engine that does this math that determines how unlikely something is to occur. And once it determines how unlikely it is, it can jump to that point in time on the probability axis.
Well, that's cool.
So basically, you just think of something kind of impossible, and the thing does it 6 times a day before breakfast.
Oh, that's badass.
It's a
It's like how we
great
make cake.
book.
I should read that.
Man. All right. So since my answer was taken, which I was...
Why didn't you think it was going to be that?
I thought you
Did you
might
think I was going to go with the
yeah.
Red Dwarf instead?
Didn't expect it to be taken.
The Red Dwarf
I
and the
thought you might
TARDIS
go
were both
TARDIS too,
considered.
so I thought I was going to be safe with the Heart of Gold.
You thought that was only my third favorite British sci-fi comedy spaceship.
So I guess instead, what I'm going to go with is, because I agree with the sentiment, basically, is I'm going to go with the UFO in Independence Day that blows up the White House.
Beautiful.
I like it.
I'm the old lady from Mars Attacks. It's like, they blew up Congress.
All right, so that does it for questions, y'all.
I actually
go
have
for
it.
one more
Oh.
that I'm going to ask live.
Oh, bonus.
How often, Nate, do
Twice
you
a
and
day.
Willie actually see each other in person?
Every few months or so, like at least every holiday, every major holiday, and then I usually come up a few times. So actually, it's probably like quarterly to 2 times a quarter.
Yeah, I was going to say it's about 4 to 8 times a year, which is exactly the same number now that I think about it.
Sorry for all that noise. I just had stuff crash
Nice.
on me in here. I literally had a Mario amiibo fall off the wall and land on top of my Smash Brothers collection. So Bayonetta is currently on the floor. I hope she's not broken.
So I guess that
No,
just
she's
leaves
good.
that just leaves setting up October. We've got
Yep.
it laid out. I guess I'll go ahead and give the
Yes.
game plan. So we're going to do weekly like we have been for the past couple years. So the games that we have hashed out is the next game that we are going to play is a Lovecraftian fishing game called Dredge.
Pumped about that one. I think, yes.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah.
You guys kept saying the title. I didn't realize that that's what that was. Okay,
I have it on PC, but I actually think I'm going to
yes.
get it for Switch for this because I think I'll have a lot more fun just chilling, laying down in bed playing it.
I can see that. That sounds very.
If you want to get yourself hyped for this, there is a video on PlayStation Access where Ash, the redhead girl who loves the horror stuff, does like a 15-minute video where she just gushes about how good Dredge is. So like, it's very, very good. So our game after that, the second week in October, we are going to be doing Faith, the Unholy Trinity, I believe is what it's called.
I think so.
I watched a video that Wendigoon did about it, and it just really fascinated me. And apparently Dane had seen that video and really liked it too because he bought Faith and sent it to me and was like, here you go, in case you want to do it for Halloween.
It has a truly spectacular art style. It looks like some alternate universe Apple II game that could never have existed back then because it's a little too complicated.
Yeah, it's a very interesting art style for sure. Third week, it is going to be a revisit episode, a game that we haven't played for 2 years. Well, we've played it, but we haven't covered it in 2 years. And we actually talked about it a little already on this episode, and we're going to be revisiting Phasmophobia. And I'll say possible because it hasn't been set in stone yet, but I do know that he has shown interest. We might get the old Dave from Tadpog to join us, talk about some Phasmo spooks for that. And then, of course, we always round out Spooktober with the freebie games. We don't have those hashed out yet, but we do know that is going to be a thing. So look forward to that.
I was actually going to point that out. We haven't even started collecting games for Freebie Week yet, although I think we have a couple hangovers from last year that we wanted to cover at some point. But if you have any suggestions, like if you have any really top free indie game suggestions, let us know. Like, don't just go looking through itch trying to find everything because
there's something you know about that's
definitely
good. Drop it into the Halloween party thread on the Discord.
Yes.
And tag one of us and we'll pin it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Because
there's no guarantee we'll cover all of them, but we'll at least try to give anyone a look and see if we can figure out, a way to slot them into the show because we want to cover a variety of different games.
And it may be something that like I might start just like looking around tonight after I'm done editing and seeing what I can find. Because I plan on trying to like maybe dabble through those throughout the month.
Yeah.
And then focus on a
That's
few for that last week. You know what I mean? Like find the ones that were like, okay, these are really fucking good. Let's see where these go. Like that St. Augustine.
And I wouldn't be too upset. Yeah, I wouldn't be too upset if we didn't all end up covering the same games, too. Like, if there's one that only one of us ends up playing and you just want to comment on it for, 2 minutes, I think that'd be cool, too.
Absolutely.
You know what would be fun?
In case it's, some that's
as a fan and viewer and listener? If you covered, an NES game through RetroArch, like Friday the 13th or something like that.
I'm not going to lie, I had actually considered asking them if they were going to consider something like that behind the scenes. I just hadn't got around to it yet. I literally thought of that when I was driving home trying to think about my rating for Starfield.
Technically, if you want to get technical, ROMs are free. RetroArch is free.
Information just wants to be free, man.
So, if you wanted to toss in an NES, just make sure, as much as I love PlayStation games, they're typically a little longer. You know what I mean? So just for the freebie week, just find something that's bite-sized.
I have a couple of ideas. Certainly any of the MacAdventure games, but especially Shadowgate has a pretty good Halloween-y theme. There's always Castlevania and Ghosts and Goblins games. Those are very Halloween-y.
Halloween-y.
Of course, I think Nate's played the shit out of those already, but, you know.
But for sure, man. But I guess that just leaves house cleaning. I do believe. I think we've covered everything if I'm remembering right. So let's see. Let's do... If you would like to support the show, if you would like to leave us a review, it's iTunes and Spotify. Please leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen, but specifically on iTunes and Spotify, that helps out the most there. You want to join the Discord, bit.ly/TSMP Discord, all capital letters. That'll get you in. You can come in. You can vote on the gaming polls, which there are 3 up right now. And it would, we welcome your votes. It would be nice to see more new faces in there and have more people to chat with. We got a good crew. I'm happy with the crew we've built. You want to check out the website, which is up to date because of Dane himself, bit.ly/the Steam Machine Podcast. Just capitalize that phonetically. You want to donate to the show, help me pay some bills, while I'm in between getting this new job, that would be sweet. Patreon.com/The Steam Machine Podcast. $1 a month. $1 a month gets you the episodes early. Gets you them ad free if Spotify ever gives me the way to add ads back in. So that'll get you that. Plus any bonus Patreon content that we put out there, which I think we've been kind of slacking on a little bit, but it'll be all right. We're going to get something up there soon. Shout out to YABSPOD, yet another BS podcast, bi-weekly show I do with my buddy Jeremy. Shout out to the JRPG Report, which is a weekly JRPG news show that I do with one Mikhailov, who has been joining us here today.
Hello.
I don't know why I'm always like, every time I say your name fully, it's why I call you Mick, because I want to go Mikhailov. Like, that's just how I try to say that name, because it just sounds Russian to me.
It actually is. I mean, that's not my real name, obviously. Fun fact, I actually based the name off of a new move from Final Fantasy Tactics called Mikhailov.
Nice. Hey, it works. It fits. If you want to get a shirt, tsmpproductions.threadless.com. You can pick up a Nile the Nightmare shirt. You can pick up a Steam Machine Podcast shirt. You can pick up a YABSPOD shirt. And I guess I should probably start putting some JRPG Report shit up there too. Show music, Nile the Nightmare. If you like it, go check me out on Bandcamp. I do have a new album out right now. It's a hip-hop album. I've sold a whopping 1 copy. So like if someone wants to make that 2, that'd be sweet. nilethenightmare.bandcamp.com. And like, again, please just leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to the show. Plug your stuff, my good sir, Team Retrogue. Oh, wait, no, hold on. I am sorry. I forgot to do one thing. If you join the Patreon and you donate $10 or more a month, you get your names read out on each and every single episode like these wonderful people. Nate Sir Cogsworth, the 7th of June-iper, Jeff, the original Expendable, Mr. Syllables, old Jeffy Lube himself, Ariesoradam, shout out to his podcast, Revival and Extinction, James, the Steam Machine, Hall, Monitor Hall, Team Retro, go check him out on YouTube, Mr. Puzzles, Dane himself, and Chad the Mad Lad, no goddamn C in his name, Shaffer.
How is there no C in Chad?
I guess, I don't know.
I think there's a C in his first name, just not his last name.
Yeah,
I'm
sorry. I'm making it. I'm making your wrap up take longer.
Plug your stuff, my good sir.
Team Retrogue, YouTube, X. I'm in the Steam Machine Discord. I'm in the JRPG Discord. I'm in the Retro Handhelds Discord. RetroHandhelds.gg if you want to get involved on that action. And I think that's...
Yeah, you made it sound pretty cool.
What's that?
I said you made that Discord sound pretty cool, like a nice community where you have like trusted people that you exchange stuff with. So that's
awesome. Yeah, they're phenomenal people actually. They actually have 2 different marketplaces, one for patrons, one for non-patrons, and everything that I have sold or bought on there has just been completely above board. We just go through PayPal and we use the goods and services. I've never had a problem. It's just a very enthusiastic community, and they all love these handhelds. They love where the tech is going, and it's a great place to hang.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Before we get out of here, I do want to point out that I'm looking at the Dredge Steam page, and they've added things since the last time I played, so that's cool. The whole ass new character.
Nice.
But yeah, is there anything you want to plug, Will?
Not really.
All right then, boys. Well, then we will be back in 1 week's time to go fish up some demons, boys. But until then, everybody, do me a favor. Oh, wrong show. Don't get back out there and level up. Just, take it easy.